Hello there, everyone, and may the force or fourth be with you all, like Pell commented. Welcome to this May the Fourth stream. I hope more people will be on, but they haven't come on yet. So it's just availability and if they're doing things, but it should be good. If people aren't on immediately, then I know that some more people will come on a little bit later. And anyone's welcome to join. Just send me a DM and we'll have a good discussion. But I'm here with Gungan Fighter. So hi.
Hey Cal, how's it going?
Pretty good. I've been in this costume all day, so that's been fun.
That's good.
I actually went out and chatted to people and did what I needed to do for college and stuff in this
Nice.
costume. I got a
Cool.
cup of calf as well, so that's good.
Awesome.
So yeah. And good to see you, pal, as I said before. And Souls Rogue podcast. You're welcome to come on as well. I shot you a link before. So
Awesome.
you're
Yeah,
good.
cool.
So, yeah. So I thought I'd start off with, and since it's just us, I'll change the plan a little bit.
Yeah.
Watching the baby, oh well. Just join in anyway, you know. We can put the tag cute baby on it. Oh, g'day Jacob. What's up, boys? Well, mate, it's May the 4th. I'm calling it Star Wars month now because, I mean, May the 25th is the real Star Wars day for the anniversary, but I decided to do something here for it. And looking at my calendar on my phone, there's also the dates of other original saga movie releases and all that, so it's really good. But yeah, if I go back to my notes for what I was actually going to talk about,
It's actually called the calendar.
Yeah. It's not the calendar because that hasn't been produced.
Oh.
But yeah, how much of the EU have you actually read and stuff now, Gungan? Since
I'm mostly into the post Return of the Jedi era.
Nice.
Yeah, that's basically. I mean, the Thrawn trilogy has mainly been my favorite trilogy, as well as the Darth Vader trilogy.
Nice. Is that the Dark Lord trilogy back with Revenge of the Sith?
It's technically not a trilogy because
mean,
it's marketed that way.
Yeah, it sort of wasn't originally intended to be a trilogy, and then they released a paperback called the Dark Lord trilogy. Oh, nice, Lethal. Just having coffee, then you're on your way. Nice to know. That's good to hear you have Lethal on here. It'd be good reprieve from all the other stuff he's been talking about as well.
Cool.
So with while we're talking about it, with the Thrawn trilogy, what stood out to you the most with the Thrawn trilogy?
What's that?
With the Thrawn trilogy, why do you love it so much? What stood out to you the most?
Because I just like it because like the simplicity of it. I mean, it's basically a Star Wars trilogy where it's like, essentially it's like, there's not that much complexity to it. It's set like right after Return of the Jedi and everything's cool.
Yeah. I'll Discord you the link, yeah, sure.
Cool.
Jay, thanks for saying nice Jedi robes. I've had them for a while. My photo that I've been using in thumbnails is a bit old by now, but yeah, that's been good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like how it's simple, but it also tells quite a good story and brings new things into it.
Yeah, Timothy Zahn's a good writer.
Yeah, it's been good, and they really definitely sparked off interest to a larger world. So, what are the things you love about the Dark Lord trilogy?
I mean, it's like the prequel trilogy era, so it's basically my favorite era to read. Really, nice. I mean, it's set right in the time of Revenge of the Sith, and basically you've got like Labyrinth of Evil, which is written by James Luceno, one of the best EU writers, and then Matthew Stover with Revenge of the Sith, which is just like, it's such a great novelization because it gives you context as to like what was going on before the events, and it leads into the movie. And then, of course, you've got like the final book in the trilogy, which is like, Vader growing into his suit, which is something New Canon did as well. But I don't think, it did it as good as Legends did.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that's basically my,
Yeah, cool. And we have Roadcast here too, so hi.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you good. That's good.
All right, here you go. Hold on. Hashtag cute baby. There you go. Cute baby.
There we go. That'll pull in all the people just wanting to see the cute baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clickbait them. Go.
Retitle the stream, cute baby. Also talk about EU. Yeah. So yeah,
I like your robes. I'm wearing my bathrobes. I hope that counts.
Oh, that counts. Yeah, that's just the Jedi in the off time. No, we've got a couple. It's got, Jacob said his favourite part of the EU is the New Jedi Order novels, and yeah, definitely. I still need to read those.
Yeah.
But just reading the summaries on Wikipedia, I definitely really like the ideas that have been introduced in them. Because, of course, a lot of books I've read summaries of, but I haven't actually read.
Yeah,
Which is why I'm doing my chronological read through from 2016 that I've done. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, I've seen it. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually disliked the route that they took with Luke and his Jedi Order.
Okay, so in what way? What don't you like about it?
I mean, it's like it just stems so differently from the casual Jedi Order. It's basically not even, a Jedi Order. You have so many of his students in the novels who go rogue, and like he has, he allows, the Jedi to get married, and the clothes don't have to be robes, and you don't have to always have a lightsaber. You can carry a gun, which is just so un-Jedi like.
Well,
I honestly just didn't really.
I don't mind that because the Jedi were of the old Republic were too dogmatic, and the Jedi of the prequel era were too politically motivated.
Yeah, that's true.
Whilst being dogmatic, but also dogmatic to the Republic as well. So what Luke basically does is it's like what Jolie Bindo talks of in KOTOR 1. It's a less dogmatic Jedi Order where people are, because the Jedi aren't like slaves to the Order; they're free to live a life as well.
Yeah.
I quite like that personally.
Well, I understand the whole part about he's trying to make it different and change it from the old ways of the Jedi because so much it all led to corruption, but either way it's still it's still the Jedi way that's just always how it's been, and I feel like Luke coming along and changing the rules. I don't know. I just dislike it personally.
I think it notes. I get that you may not like it as much, and that's definitely a valid opinion. No hating on that. But I think the end of the Revenge of the Sith novel, it mentions about Yoda saying that they actually need to change their ways to be able to actually defeat the Emperor.
Yeah.
And actually goes, look, the Jedi Order at the moment was defeated by the Emperor because of all of the things that we had wrong. And yeah, I think midi-chlorians are a great example of how they're demystifying the Force and just making it down to a scientific level rather than actually leaving it open for more depth. And
I don't think the midi-chlorians were actually a thing that the Jedi really looked into too much. I agree. It was more of a scientific context that looking at how the potential of someone's Force ability.
Yeah. And Jacob says, in his opinion, the Luke Jedi was the best version of it. In his opinion, took out the dogmatism and made it about the Force. I agree that it's the same as like you play through KOTOR, and it's what Revan was trying to say about is what actually comes about with Luke's Jedi Order, because it's more about being able to resist the temptation of the dark side than completely removing the dark side completely, and that's a lesson learned through Anakin's story as well. With you actually love someone, and that's not a bad thing. But you need to actually learn.
He kind of
how
accepts that. Go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. It's been
That's
a bit
right.
delay. He kind of accepts there's a yin to the yang, whereas the Jedi refuse to accept that there's a bit of the Jedi wouldn't even allow a hint of grey at one point, if you know what I mean. It's just it all had to be one way or no way, basically.
And you can see how the rules were broken with the prequel era Jedi anyway, because like Ki-Adi-Mundi had multiple wives.
Is that...
Yeah.
Yeah. Because his species had a low male population, they needed to actually help repopulate. And they made the exception for that reason.
Well,
but it's still an exception. It's still things that happen.
Yeah, but that's a valid exception. I mean, they're basically saving a species from extinction with Ki-Adi-Mundi. So I think that's more of a... that's more of an excuse. Like, it's a valid thing, for the Jedi to take action.
And then at the same time, if they're allowing him exceptions, where's the line got to end?
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. Like, he's allowed exceptions, but everyone else has to give up their life. Anakin can't even go see his mother. It's like...
So the whole atmosphere around it. What I love about both Return of the Jedi Luke's Order is just how it seems to reflect how life more accurately is and how better to deal with it, and actually going, you will experience these things, but you need to learn how to be resilient and to be able to deal with it, rather than just going, you can't do these things.
Yeah, I think one of the dumbest rules that the Jedi had, well, not really a rule, but something that Jedi couldn't do in the prequel trilogy is have nightmares. I just don't understand why. Like in Attack of the Clones, Anakin says to Padme that Jedi don't have them, which doesn't really make sense.
Oh no, that's more about Anakin's personal beliefs, I think, with nightmares, because he thinks, even from a kid, he's idolized the Jedi and thinks that they're a lot more than they actually are.
Yeah, he thinks they're like gods here, doesn't he? No one can kill them, and they're like his escape from the harsh reality.
When he was a Padawan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he learns quickly. I'm sorry, I'm just going to mute for a second while he has a little whinge.
Mute yourself is probably easier, yeah. Jacob brings up the whole Grey Jedi concept. Well, Grey Jedi isn't really a thing other than saying that back in the olden times, the term was used like in KOTOR 1 and 2 for Jedi that followed their own interpretation of the Jedi Code that is different from the main order, and so they're separate and called Grey Jedi. Otherwise, they're just Grey Force users, and they're using it as an excuse to do what they want, mainly.
Yeah. But wouldn't that classify as Qui-Gon Jinn, seeing as Qui-Gon really, he went with the Jedi, but not everything he did was, with the will of the Council and all that.
I think he's more of a maverick, still inside the Jedi Order, so still falling within the main order. But the Grey Jedi would be more like the Artesian Jedi in the Clone Wars, where they actually were a separate group that went around and actually allowed marriage and everything.
Right.
But still followed the Jedi Code. So
that would, technically the Grey Jedi would classify as Luke, right?
Yeah, I mean, Luke had... So that's where the term, I think, gets outdated by that time, because Luke is the main Jedi Order.
Yeah.
But comparing it to the prequel era Jedi and the Jedi before that, it's a very Grey Jedi type mindset that he has towards the Jedi Order.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like the non-dogmatic mindset. So there's quite a lot of examples. Even Mace Windu's an example of a Grey Jedi, and yet he was on the council. But because he sometimes will break the code to achieve his ends. Sorry.
Which, when you think about it, a lot of what they said was the code was all the extra rules added onto it. And when you go back to the base code, it actually doesn't say, no, you can't have attachments and marry.
Yeah.
Which is where Luke revisited it and went, the prequel Jedi failed because they were all killed. And then, so I think it's a natural step to change it and be able to do that.
Maybe address the comment by Jacob there, because he says Qui-Gon was completely on the light side, but the Grey Jedi can still be completely light. The point
Yeah,
is to
that-
follow the code
That's
completely.
what I mean. Is like they're following their own interpretation of the code. It's like Jolie Bindo was completely on the light side, and
Yeah,
the
like he didn't
Artesian
like it when you
was on
turn.
the light side.
He
And-
hates it. Yeah. So
And it just fails as a concept because you look at Revan's life, and his whole life is an example of why trying to be a grey Force user or Jedi doesn't work.
yeah,
Because
you can't
he's
do it dogmatically.
Each
Sorry.
time, but each time, it's all right. Each time he goes to do the things like his mind was dominated by this shit to start with, and so that was dark side. And then he goes back, and the version you play in KOTOR, the canonical way is he was completely light side.
Yeah.
And then he's just
Well, then
shows in SWTOR in the Revan novel just how it doesn't work because he's actually physically and mentally conflicted and is actually split. And it doesn't work to try and do both because the dark side will eventually take over.
I really. Did you enjoy that novel? I personally didn't like that novel very much.
It's been a while since I read it, but I think I enjoyed the parts with Scourge the most.
I think I expected. It's my fault. I expected closure of the story from the novel. I didn't realize it's basically an advertisement for the Old Republic game.
Yeah,
Like the lead
it's
up
a
to
bit
it.
connecting to where you find him in SWTOR.
Yeah.
I mean, with like, you know, Freddie Prinze Jr. has said like there is no grey for him apparently.
Yeah, that's his opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a different interpretation of the Force, and that's one that's reserved for the new canon, since apparently he heard that from Dave Filoni himself.
Yeah, and
So I think that's something that's said that, okay, that can apply to the new canon, but I don't think that applies to the EU, especially when you read the stories and everything.
Yeah. You know,
I
I'm
mean,
on the
Dave
brink of the
Filoni's
new
not-
canon. I told you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
I'm just
Go ahead. There's a delay, so just ignore me if I.
No, I was just going to say, like, Dave Filoni is, you know, he's not that close with the original Expanded Universe Legends. He's known to contradict heaps of stuff, you know, especially with Season 6, which many would even consider non-canon. And it is non-canon, because I'm pretty sure Season 6 was released after the decanonization, right?
It was early 2014, just before.
Yeah, I would still consider it. Yeah, I'd still consider it part of Disney canon anyway.
And yeah, that's where it theoretically fits best, but still just by going by official release and dates and stuff. Yeah. I agree with Jacob as well, and Pell agrees with him about the whole Dre Jedi as an excuse to use the dark side to just advance your own goals while pretending to be in the light side.
Basically,
That's
that's
how
what it.
I think-
Yeah,
That's the whole thing where it's a different interpretation when you go, these are Jedi that are doing their own interpretation of the code versus these are Jedi that are saying, oh, let's use all the powers. Because some, of course, need murderous intent to be able to use them. And then that clouds your judgment and causes you to fall to the dark side. Which is good. But yeah, I think the whole Dave Filoni thing is tricky because he writes good clone episodes, but then a lot of it just doesn't fit in continuity. Mainly with the
Especially
EU.
the new season, they kind of gave a finger to the EU with some of it, which kind of
I
annoyed
haven't
me.
been watching it because I have lost interest in the new canon. So
Well, it's supposed to fit into both, isn't it? And they could at least be respectful of that,
season
but they
7
haven't.
isn't technically because season 7's
Yeah.
only to release after the decanonization date.
yeah. No, Season 7 doesn't fit because it contradict. If it were to be Legends, it would contradict Labyrinth of
Exactly.
Evil, the Clone Wars miniseries, and the Revenge of the Sith novelization.
Yeah, I thought it was going to fit into both when I started watching it, and then as I was watching it, I was realizing it's not. And I'm kind of, that's why I say I'm on the brink with the new canon. I don't mind it so much. There is some good content, pre-sequel trilogy content, but I'm just at the point now where they're trying to divorce it so much from the EU that I'm just like, this is just, I'd like things to fit into both. really. Why do they have to change quite so much?
Yeah.
But no, it's
But
so I'm
at
kind
the
of at the
same
point now where I'm going to choose one.
Yeah.
See,
At the same time, I want them to have a completely different timeline because then you can just go, those are the two timelines, pick which one you like, or you can enjoy both. That's fine.
I don't mind two different timelines. What I mean isn't like they've changed how the crystals work, how they've changed quite a bit about the Force. They've changed certain characters at certain times, like in the Qui-Gon novel, which is actually quite a decent novel.
Master
But
Apprentice?
yeah, it's a good novel. But then they've changed
I've read that.
they've changed the leader of the Republic, so it doesn't fit with the Plagueis novel at the time.
Yeah,
And it's like,
mixing
why?
canons is advisable, I don't think.
Yeah.
Could I
Yeah,
just
they apparently even contradicted their own canon. I saw something about that on Books, Comics, Fanatics. I'm just like, yeah, that's Filoni doing the same thing he did before. Some things don't change.
hold on, I want to talk about. So Jacob Byers said that that they pretty much made the Ahsoka novel. There's only one novel. Yeah, that's true. They did make it non-canon to an extent.
Something about the flashbacks.
They've
But of course, everything moving
was
forwards is canon. From
yeah,
April
but
2014.
Jacob, yeah, that's actually a good point because I have the Ahsoka novel. I've read it, and it actually does not fit in with Clone Wars season 7 because there's a part of the novel that specifically at the very beginning, it gives you a flashback because when this novel was written, Clone Wars season 7 had not come out yet, and we had not seen the Siege of Mandalore. And it talks about how Ahsoka's lightsabers were originally green as she was fighting Maul, but as we all know now, Dave Filoni's changed it because of story reasons with Anakin, and the lightsabers have now turned to blue. So when you see it, when she's fighting Maul, her lightsabers are now blue. So that contradicted the novel, and I believe there are also a few other contradictions in there, but we'll have to see how it all works out, I guess.
Yeah, and it just goes to them not really planning things out, and the new canon not being as good at keeping with the continuity as
why did
White?
Which is odd because sorry.
Where did white lightsabers come from in the EU? I'll let you ask your question. Like, just make your point first because it might deviate a little bit. Go on.
The white lightsabers basically came from towards the end of the novel. Ahsoka takes down one of the Inquisitors, which I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Inquisitors, as you're more into legends, but basically.
I'm more familiar with the Inquisitorius in the EU,
Yeah, they're basically this. In New Canon, the Inquisitors are a group of former Jedi who were given to Darth Vader by the Emperor to fulfill the goal of the Sith, which is to eliminate all of the Jedi and eliminate the last remnants of the Republic, which is what Vader eventually succeeds in doing, except for Luke. He survives.
In the EU, though,
he's obviously the last Jedi there, and that was their job in New Canon. Of course, over a course of time, they're all wiped down, and the Jedi, from battles and stuff. But basically, Ahsoka takes his lightsabers, which are originally red, and she purifies them because this is a new thing in canon now. You can actually
that's one of the changes. It's like, they can make that decision, but whatever.
Which Vader, could I just add, Vader actually also did this. Kylo Ren and Vader have both done this to their lightsaber crystals in canon. Vader actually stole
lightsaber, isn't it? Rather than just going, let's make a lightsaber that has a possibility of shorting out natural crystals. But we've got lethal lightning here. Hello.
Hey,
Disney's lightsabers, mate. Disney lightsabers.
I was going to ask.
Hello,
Lethal Lightning.
Hey, how you doing, Rogar? Hey, Gungan. Hey, Callum.
In the EU, where did the silver lightsabers come from? Are they just like very extremely rare, or?
Yeah, they'd be rare crystals because the lightsaber colors. I don't think there was silver with. I think silver would be the closest to white. The current use. That'd just be
Yeah.
a different crystal because it'd just be rarer. And because all of the lightsaber colors came from the type of crystal that you use in the EU and
Yeah,
the focus
it's
lens.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because in canon, the lightsaber crystal changes. You can literally just. It's not at the snap of a finger, but it takes a special force ability to change a lightsaber crystal. Kylo Ren, when he changed his in the comics, and Lethal, you might have read this already, but in one of the newer comics, Kylo actually gets his original Jedi crystal when he was training with Luke, and he uses a special technique to purify it, and it creates the the unstable sizzling of his lightsaber. So of course he creates the cross guard to let out some energy.
I knew the
So
part about letting out the energy, but no, I haven't read that one. Nah.
That was a rise of
basically,
Kylo
he didn't
Ren.
get good, and so he had to create something to just account for it.
Yeah, it was the crack of the crystal that caused him to make it as a cross guard.
Yep. Yeah, I know about the cross guard. I think they put that in Force Awakens visual dictionary from memory.
Yeah, I think it's basically it's like an old Republic's design.
Yeah.
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 All right, let's go back around to EU.
Yeah.
Let's go back, because that's the purpose of the stream. Because all other Star Wars channels will talk about the new canon.
Well, did you hear that? Did you hear that new one about how they've changed the rule of two?
Only vaguely.
Yeah, it's very vague. It's not determined yet how much it's changed. It's just it could possibly change, and if it does, I'm done with new canon.
It was pretty much in a junior novel. It's like yeah, it's pretty bad. I only found out about it this morning, and it was a head shaker.
I'm going to look more into that. I read it. Well, it wasn't even really an article. It's just one of those articles with like one paragraph where it says, so it wasn't much detail, and that's how it did change. But I said to Callum last time he was on my podcast, I said, one more big change and I'm done with the new canon, because I can't deal with this having to remember two different things. But
I just can't.
one of the things that, and this leads into the EU as well, Callum, so don't worry. One of the things I wasn't happy with the end of Rise of Skywalker was that with the death of Kylo Ren, it means we're not going to get anything to the equivalent of Cade Skywalker, which I think is a character who would be really good for like a TV show or something like that, or even new novels, new comics, because how many people struggle with drugs but think they won't amount to anything, and just to have that kind of character, like when I read those novels, I've never been on drugs or anything, but that character really was brilliant.
Yeah, Cade would be really good for a TV show. He's got like that gritty type vibe around him. Like he's not like a Luke Skywalker. You know how Luke Skywalker is kind of like a bit of a Boy Scout goody two shoes, whereas Cade's more out there, party animal, sex, drugs, rock and roll type thing. That would be really cool for a TV show. But unfortunately, we know where they would put the TV show, and they can only do so much with their restrictions of ratings for their audience.
Well, yeah, of course it is under
branding
Disney, so it's
yeah,
under
exactly.
Disney, so you got to remember, they wouldn't go too far out there.
But this is all hypothetical anyway, because Cade Skywalker's EU, so they wouldn't make a TV show now based on the EU.
Why not? They brought Thrawn into Rebels.
Yeah, they brought another character named Thrawn into Rebels that looks similar.
They took Jason and I don't even know. They nuded him.
Oh yeah,
So
the
why
Legacy. We know your favorite EU Lethal. That's Legacy of the Force.
Jason Solo did nothing wrong.
Yeah. So, what would be your favorite part of Legacy of the Force series? Then?
My favorite part. That's tough. My one favorite part.
Probably the end.
Yeah, I really like the ending. It's really it's brutal. It's it's kind of it's a bit of a tear jerker. It's hard to get through, but it's just I consider that one of the main qualities of going right. Story comes first, because what they do with that ending is just so good, so good. It's an emotional roller coaster. That whole book, Invincible, I think is just brilliant from the first page. Like you read the first page of Invincible and you're like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, even the fan film that was made a few years back it was really
That was
cool.
brilliant, man. The chick they got to play Jaina, I reckon
Casey
she's like,
Twist.
what's her name? Sorry?
Casey Twist.
She's perfect. She's like perfect casting.
I was saying about it when I talked to Jeff about it in my separate video discussion with him when we watched it. They just really got spot on. I think Ty Nelson also does great at playing Jason because you can see part of what looks like it could be Mark Hamill's facial features on his face as well.
I dig that, but it's not like it's not to the extent of where he looks too much like him. You can kind of see a little bit in him where you could believe you go, yeah, that could be his uncle. They kind of, if you squint your eyes, they kind of look similar. Yeah, but but the chick they got for Jane, I thought she was just on point, man. The thing with Legacy though is it's probably got one of the most highly controversial parts of the EU. The killing off of Mara Jade. I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't think I've ever spoken to you, Callum. How do you feel about how they killed off Mara?
I mean, I read it after a lot of it was released. So I was in high school and I was reading along the Legacy of the Force because a friend had suggested it and that. And I'm going, oh, cool. Yeah, this is awesome. And I didn't have as much of an emotional connection to Mara because I hadn't actually read as many of the stories and stuff. So I'm interested when I reread it. But at the time, it was like, wow, they're just taking risks. They're going out there. This is Luke's wife. That really adds depth to. I thought it really added great depth to Jason's character and the sacrifice that he made as well.
It also
he knew that
Luke badass. It made Luke badass as well because her last words are, "Luke will destroy you," and that kind of sends a bit of a shiver down Jason because Luke. I'm a Jason Solo fanboy, but Luke stomps him. Luke absolutely stomps him, man.
Well, you
Luke
can just
him to a
see
chair.
he goes, well, Lumia must have killed Mara. And then he just destroys her. And then Jason looks like, I'm just going to walk past it.
That is the darkest Luke Skywalker moment, man, because she falls off the cliff and he saves her. He pulls her up and then the mind's like, you just save me. He just goes, whomp off with your head.
It's brutal.
It is brutal, man. But I feel with the killing of Mara, she had to go from a story point of view because it just added so much. It added so much. It was kind of like the tipping point goes, right, there's absolutely no coming back from this. That's the bridge burned. But it was more so the way they had Mara act. What people's problem was the way she just left a note, which I agree is kind of out of character for Mara. That could have been handled better, but it wasn't a massive disrespect to the character, because she won the fight. She beat Jason. Jason cheated. Yeah. And then that whole ending, the ending of that book, man, where he looks at the mirror and he goes, Kaitis, Darth Kaitis. Like, just hook it to my veins.
Yes. And it was amazing how I loved the other thing that could have been done better is consulting Timothy Zahn, because apparently he didn't hear about his character being killed, and then
True.
They did, and he's just, what?
When I met him and I spoke to him about that, he was not happy about it. He was not happy about the killing off of Mara. He didn't want Jason to go dark either. He said that Jason going dark side was a little too close to Anakin's story, which is a very fair thing to say.
Really good parallel with that when they're explaining about his turn.
Yeah.
I love his turn. When he does the Force walk and then he that's not the Force walk, you know what I mean? And then he goes flow walk, and then he sees when Vader was doing Operation Nightfall, and he sees Vader killing the kids because the whole part of like the first 2-3 books is when he's turning, and he's sitting down and he goes, Am I just turning into my grandfather? Am I making the same mistakes he is? And then he does the flow walk and sees what Vader did, and he goes, "Nah, I am nothing like that, man. That guy is scum."
Neck minute,
neck minute, set Kashyyyk on fire, But
screw those cookies.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so good because he set out I really like talking about Kaitis because I consider Kaitis to be like the only Sith that was ever selfless. because he's almost like Thanos, except Thanos' logic makes no sense. Whole other topic, but you know how Thanos is like, I will wipe out half the universe to save the other. Kaitus's was like, well, I will destroy 1/4 of the universe if it means I get to save the 3/4 of it, because he saw the vision and he was like, I know what I have to do. And he says at the start, he goes, I know what I have to do and it will kill me, but someone has to do it. And then he goes out and he starts off with the purest of intentions, but along the line, it just reinforces what we already know about the dark side of the Force. It just corrupts you, because it gets to the end of the series and he's like, yep, we're going to war against the Moffs. We're taking, like everything he does, he just goes way too far with it. The mental and emotional manipulation he puts on people, killing Mara. I mean, Mara, like, throughout the entire series, Mara is the only one that's kind of on his side, because she understands, because she had Palpatine in his head, you will kill Luke Skywalker, constantly. So she knew the type of stuff he was thinking, and she was constantly reaching out to him. Han Solo wrote him off. Jaina was constantly, trying to help him out and everything, but Mara was the one.
It seemed like when Boba sent him the crash gauntlets was great as well. When Boba sends Han the crash gauntlets to go, just
I'm gonna kill your kid. yeah, that was good. I like Luke's
yeah, if you couldn't tell, you just started spouting off about it.
I consider it the best story in the entire IP.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the greats. I always have trouble picking favorites because it's so tricky. Yeah, if you want to send a picture, Roy, you can do that.
Yeah, it's basically, I think you may have seen it. It's in my group, Strictly Star Wars. I think you're in that one. I shared it in there. It's basically got all the characters and it aligns them like, it's almost like, one of those political things where it says where you're on a political spectrum, but it's one of those, but it's about dark, light, undogmatic, dogmatic, and it's like, it has EU characters ranked where they would be, and I think it would possibly
That'd be
give.
interesting to have a look at, sure.
Yeah, where do I see this, man? That sounds cool.
Share your screen and we'll have a look at it if you can.
I can't do that. I'm on my phone. Okay. But if you go over to you're in my group. If you go over to my group,
yeah,
I literally posted it yesterday, or it may even be on my page.
Jacob, you're absolutely right. To be honest, Zahn loves complaining about how authors aren't as good as writers. Yeah, that is so true.
I think he laid off when people were saying to him, like, look, this is how people are interpreting it. But still,
it was at one of the Star Wars celebrations, and he just spent the whole time talking about how bad Dark Empire was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a cocky attitude to him. That's for sure.
A friendly heads up, Chrome has a bug that can cause screen sharing to crash on Windows 10. It's pretty rare, but if it happens, you only want to use Firefox. Well, I'm trying. I'm
sure you'll be fine.
Here we go. So what do we have here? Yeah. But yeah, Zahn laid off a bit when he got to talking to him about that. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
so it was on our legend memes on Reddit.
Zorn originally he said to the people that to the fans at one of the conventions that doing a reboot of the EU would just be way too messy. Like the publishers wouldn't like it, and now here we are, and he's like, nowadays Zorn's just like, you know what, let's just try and cheer people up.
Money.
Yeah.
I gave him money. And then he changed his mind real quick.
I'll take that off for a sec. Vach greater than Zahn. What do you guys think?
I'd disagree personally.
I think it's hard because Vach doesn't write novels to compare them apples for apples. But I think Vach, as far as interacting with the fans, Vach is really cool because even in Star Wars groups on Facebook and stuff, he'll actually comment and share things. And stuff. But as far as the actual stories go, I think Vach is great creatively, but also Zahn. So it's like Zahn added a lot more and sparked off the interest. So I think,
Zahn was the one that kicked off this whole thing. Plus, he is pretty good at what he does.
And this is the first discussion stream on going on Twitch as well. If people,
How you doing? How you holding up with the managing of both sides?
it's fine. I've got good.
You're looking-
I'm just like, look over here. I've got 2 tabs open, but everyone's on YouTube at the moment, so that's fine.
Mhm.
But yeah, let's have a look at this thing.
yeah.
We've got
May want to zoom in sort of a bit as well. It's a bit on the small side.
yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? But yeah, I've zoomed in so we can see everything.
Yeah.
But other than that, okay, so we got dogmatic and undogmatic and then light side and dark side.
My screen doesn't show anything.
Oh, really?
That's
Mine
weird.
is.
The screen
It's
share on
probably just
there.
the device. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
What we've got here,
Who's
we'll
that
start-
next to Ragnaros?
Ragnos.
Top row.
Top row, yeah.
Top row, third from the left.
Third from the left. I'm not sure, just from that picture.
Maybe someone in the chat does.
Possibly.
Top left.
Oh, g'day, Teresa. Yeah.
Oh, Teresa.
And I've asked Teresa to come on, so here she is. Hi.
Oh my God.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How are you
Oh my
going?
God, Teresa.
I know it's a shock, isn't it? Isn't that a lovely surprise for May the 4th lethal?
It is. It is. I consider May 25th to be Star Wars Day, but I'm happy to be here.
This
Yeah.
is the day is Star Wars Day, but May 25th is
Yeah.
our anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, most of my life, literally most of my life, it was May 25th when we would all get excited and talk about how much we love Star Wars. But anytime we can all get together, isn't it great?
Absolutely. Jacob says it's Vecticus. Okay, thanks, Jacob.
It's good. Cool. Oh yeah, that's right. I'll make sure to say that. Okay, interesting. There's still a lot of comic knowledge I need to fill in, so there's that too. And stuff. So yeah. There's so much AU, it's great.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Since you're on now, I'll do this again before we analyze that. What's your favorite part of the AU, Teresa?
Oh my gosh. Probably, if I had to objectively say what personally I enjoyed the absolute most, it would probably be the X-Wings series.
I'm
As
reading
far-
them right now.
As far as completely from beginning to end, I just couldn't get enough of them. There wasn't anything about them I didn't like, and they were a delight. And I loved the camaraderie, and I also loved the way that in and out would come people like Luke and Han, and it really had a feel for the original trilogy, but also an appreciation for the unsung heroes that you see in Star Wars.
True. And
Yeah,
Corin Horn.
Oh, well, I was about ready to say, and Corin Horn, because I despised the Jedi Academy trilogy. Actually, I really did. I was like, just kill them all. Just kill them all. I mean, if I know, but if we could time travel or go across the universe, the only thing I would say that Kylo Ren did right was killing everybody at that Jedi temple or whatever what he did. I mean, well done. They all deserve to die, except when Jedi came out and Corin Horn was shoehorned into it. It was redeemed because I loved Corin Horn and getting to see him go back and get his training and sing the story through his eyes.
To be fair, I think most people would consider Jedi to be like right up the top.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's one of the best, easily one of the best standalone ones. But it also saved the
it's so
Jedi
good.
Academy trilogy for me.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, they can bring them all back to life and not kill them all after Corrin showed me. It was okay.
Jedi Academy trilogy were actually my first AU books.
Oops.
Just out of interest.
Well, no, it's okay. Hey, I always say it's like a drink. It's like when you go up to a bartender and they say, "How do you want your drink?" And then you say, "Well, what's the best way I'm supposed to have this drink?" And they should say, if they're good bartenders, "How you like it." That's the best way to make a drink. Same
Yeah,
thing.
how
with
do I
the
know
food.
how I like it unless I try
Because
it?
if they,
Well,
because if
yeah,
they
no,
give
but
you
what I'm
something
saying
too
is
bad.
if it's good, if it's the best, or how do you like your EU? It's the EU you like, you know,
Yeah.
or what was your first? I was a very lucky girl because my first was Heir to the Empire, and it sprung on us because we did not have the internet. And unless you subscribed to those little e-zine things or Starlog, you didn't know it was coming. So I'm minding my own business in the friggin' mall. You know, a little teen girl with her early 90s, leftover 80s hair. And I'm like, Star Wars? Star Wars. And I went over and there's this big display. And it's like continuing the story. We went, oh, I almost said the F word, nuts. So that was my first. I mean, we did. No, we really did. And I didn't have a cell phone. So I had to wait till I got home to call my sister. Oh my gosh, look what they have. And I just read it like a wild woman. And it was so good. Of course, we all know that, well, in my humble opinion, most of us really like Heir to the Empire. But that was my first experience. And that's why I'll still, no matter what anyone says, or anyone at Lucasfilm will try to tell me, in my heart, that is the sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah, it really
Absolutely.
is. It was the
My
first
first experience with it was trying to get. I saw the comic Splinter the Mind's Eye in the library,
Ooh.
and they wouldn't let me take it out because I was a kid. They were like, "This isn't for kids." I'm like, "It's Star Wars. It's for kids." And I argued with them back and forth, and I was like, "I need to read this now. If they're saying it's not for kids and it's Star Wars, I need to read this." So I got my auntie to get it for me.
Just casually
I never
going to
gave
the
it back.
library and picking it up and reading it inside the library.
Yeah.
They never got it back. I probably still have it somewhere in the attic now. Because I think I realized why it's not for kids. Vader cuts someone down the middle in half. So I'm like, yeah, okay. We had a point.
Anthony Daniels uploaded a video 10 minutes ago, May the 4th
did he?
reading, and it has no views.
I saw that. Yeah,
Oh.
I saw that. That's so weird. What was that?
I don't know. I
I haven't
haven't-
seen it yet.
It's
I
obviously.
think he's
for
reading.
some-
I think he's
Yeah.
reading from the I Am 3PO book, the one where he says 3PO is just a table decoration in the new movies.
He's.
Do that. Yeah, Anthony Daniels has been a lad though.
Yeah, but what is he
Doing it.
recording? Like, we don't know for sure if it was his book.
It's the I Am 3PO book, the
His-
autobiography he did.
Ah, yeah.
I thought it was for Lucasfilm Animation or something.
Ah,
Oh.
nah, that's clicked on. Then he's got the book.
Okay.
Well, let's have a look at this picture that Raycast said about all this, like thinking about how each character works within this dogmatic and undogmatic and light side and dark side part.
Huh.
I think it's interesting because I think characters in the end are a little bit more nuanced as well than to try and label them specifically completely.
Yeah, like Vader, for example. I almost consider Vader apolitical. He just does not care.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was doing the bidding of Palpatine.
Yeah, Plagueis and Palpatine, very much opposite to Vader in that regard.
And I was wondering about Kenobi's placement. I realize it's Ben, so maybe for Ben that fits, but for Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan himself was more dogmatic in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, no,
And
good
then-
point.
Even before the prequel trilogy, when you read the Jedi Apprentice series and everything, he's a lot less dogmatic. Like, he's fairly dogmatic,
Yeah.
but then he even makes the Jedi Order at one point to go stay on Melita Dan to try and help people.
Yeah, no, good point. I agree, though. I agree with Roadcast. Considering it's old Ben, that does make sense.
Of course,
Uh,
that does. Andrew,
Andrew.
hi.
What up, man?
Today,
Good to see you, mate.
Jake,
Qui-Gon does
yeah.
surprise me a bit.
Jacob was saying in chat, have you guys heard the story of beef between Anthony Daniels and Kenny Baker?
Vaguely, I
haven't.
vaguely have. My uncle, he would know all about it.
yeah, I haven't heard
I
that
think
story.
I've heard about it. Like,
Yeah.
Anthony Daniels and Kenny, they didn't get along
It's
too well on the set.
It's because Anthony Daniels is quite an uptight. He's got to stick up his bum,
Mhm.
basically. Sorry, Carl, am I allowed to say that?
Well,
Like, as in,
it's your opinion.
it's not. It's just an expression, isn't it? It's an expression, isn't it? So don't nobody say that literally. But basically, he doesn't like Kenny Baker. Is Kenny Baker still alive? I think he died. Didn't he?
No.
Um,
And he got snubbed in Last Jedi. They didn't give him a mention.
Mm.
Oh my god. Well, he has a very rude sense of humor. He's very.
I could picture that.
He's just quite vulgar, and Anthony
That's
Daniels
what they
hates
kicked him
that
out through the
kind
whole
of humor.
movie.
Yeah. Well, hang out with meet Kenny Baker. I'm just curious.
Sorry, Teresa?
Oh, Kenny Baker. Well, I'm gonna say because I got this. I worked a weekend with Kenny Baker. You know how at conventions, the little person that's at their table, and I was with Kenny Baker one weekend at one of them, and everything that you said, absolutely. And
Yeah, you can see when you look at what Anthony Daniels is like.
Yes.
Sorry,
I didn't
but
feel that any of them liked Anthony Daniels. I don't want to speak for anybody, but I mean,
yeah, he's difficult from what I've seen. I've seen him end an interview because someone pulled out that rare 3PO card. Yeah, you know the one. I'm not going to mention it on stream, but he ended an interview straight up. He's like, "I'm not talking to you for pulling that out. You can forget about it." And he apparently Kenny Baker's mouth is why R2 is supposed to have a bad foul language. It comes from that. Apparently, he was in that.
They made jokes about it in the Marvel comics or back in the old days.
Yeah, that's his legacy. R2 has got a foul mouth because Kenny Baker had a foul mouth.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that honestly makes it so much better.
Yeah.
Anthony Daniels called Kenny Baker a prop one time. Wow.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh,
That's horrible.
yeah.
And now
not
here he
someone
is.
I'd want to meet.
There's
No,
a side of 3PO we don't see is the savagery. But yeah.
Well, a lot of those actors are really kind of down to earth and really also earthy, and with their language and stuff. And you could see the contrast between them and the drama, not the drama queens, because I can't personally speak to Anthony Daniels, but it was just like they would come in and act all big and flamboyant and look at me, and everyone would just be like, we were all just kind of having fun talking, and just chill.
We were just getting high on set and chilling, and you come in with your uptight attitude, and
Yeah,
Well, exactly.
Oh,
You got-
imagine Anthony Daniels on the set of the holiday special.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You got Carrie Fisher, who's just totally off her face, like doing more drugs than rock and roll bands put together. You got Harrison Ford, who just, I don't want to be here. I just want money.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I wish I was the star.
Mark Hamill was like,
Sorry, Gungan?
Mark Hamill looked like he was spray painted in that movie. Did you see?
Yeah. Mannequin Skywalker.
It was literally like someone put him in like one of those spray tan machines.
It is. It's a really bad thing. Yeah.
To try and
But I
cover
love
up
the holiday special, though. I really do, because it's like Star Wars before any law was established. It's so primitive. It's like, I love it in a way. It's like cringy, but
Yeah.
this is what could have
It's
been.
so bad. It's so bad. It's good.
It had Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
It was all that except for the cartoon with Boba Fett. That was badass. I love
Yeah,
that.
that was pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Have you guys seen the footage of? I think it was around the time of Empire, where there's James Earl Jones and Carrie Fisher recording lines for I think for a video game, and Carrie Fisher's off her guts, man. Like this was her at her peak of just out of control, and they're recording the lines, right? And then Carrie Fisher just flips out, goes into a tirade of just abuse and swearing, how she doesn't want to be there anymore. And then you got James Earl Jones, who it's like the voice of Darth Vader. He's like, calm down, Carrie. Carrie, sit down. Then you go, fuck you, James. You can't tell me.
I need to see that.
It's pretty funny.
Can you see it? I
Yeah.
can see that being one of the like Darth Vader and son comics or Darth Vader and daughter.
Wait,
Parody comics.
Is that still on the internet, or did someone take that down?
I don't know, where did I see it? I think I saw it on a
I-
That's still,
Oh,
it has to be still up,
Oh,
right?
I'm
Yeah.
finding it
I'm
on my
doing a
screen.
search right now.
it's so funny, man. I don't even know what to type in. Carrie Fisher has full on drug attack moment.
Drug-induced meltdown. I can relate to meltdowns like that. I really can. But
Yeah.
that was
Also, I was looking at this again and was interested in the placement of like some of the ones down the bottom because I thought
Yeah.
Jarek would be slightly higher than Palpatine and Plagueis.
Palpatine's more central, in my opinion, as well. Like he's not completely dogmatic. I mean, he doesn't completely follow the rule of two. And
Yeah.
he has no problems using technology in place of the Force, so he's more censored, really. But he's still very dark side, so he should. I don't know. Ugh, it's tough. It's like
And
he's
like-
in there because he has to be in there almost.
Because like, oh yeah, we better put him in there. I think he's unconventional, but he also still has his own like he creates his own dogma.
You
True.
could say, yeah.
Revan's there twice. I just noticed as well. I'm like, okay.
Who's I'm pretty bad with some Clone Wars era characters, like names sometimes. Who's that one who's basically where like the cowboys are, like total anarchist, green lightsaber
Where's that?
on the
Quinlan
bottom?
Voss?
I forgot his name.
Quinlan Voss.
Yeah,
Oh, Quinlan
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Voss,
I love that cowboy.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's definitely very unconventional with how he goes on undercover with the Separatists in the comics.
Did you notice he was in Phantom Menace?
Yeah. He's
George
in the
Lo-
background.
Ayla Secura was in Attack of the Clones because George looked at cover and was like, I like the look of this guy. Let's put him in the movie.
And who else? Aura Singh was in the special editions when the pod race was happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was really
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
I always loved that little detail when I watched it when I was younger and going, who's that? And then I looked her up and went, oh, that's a backstory. That's awesome. That's one of the things I love about the EU is I look up about it, the characters and that and go, oh, this is a backstory. I really love this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is cool.
That's what
And
made me fall in love with Star Wars as well.
the Phantom Menace when they first get to Coruscant and Palpatine meets Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Qui-Gon at the thing. You're like, well, in that build, somewhere in one of those buildings, Darth Plagueis is watching this whole thing happen.
Yeah, I love it.
That's great.
But yeah, I remember that when I read Darth Plagueis, I was just amazed that Palpatine's an apprentice throughout that entire thing. It just changes your whole perspective on what's going on at that time. And yeah,
I fully agree.
It made me rewatch.
I consider the Phantom Menace to be one of the worst in the saga. I consider it the worst of the six. But the Plagueis book, did definitely bring it up for me. And that scene now, I really like that scene now, knowing that Plagueis is somewhere. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, man.
Yeah, and
It's like I said a while ago. Oh, go on.
No, it's all right.
Go on, I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
No, because I'm gonna deviate a little bit here. So you go ahead.
I was just going to point out that while I actually saw this on YouTube once, it was a stop motion. Palpatine and Plagueis have a duel, while Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon have their duel in Naboo. I thought that was cool.
If you call Sidious and Plagueis' fight a duel.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
a murder.
Plagueis just sits there going, I believe in myself. And Sidious is just like, die!
He just waits till he's like drunk, like just like hammered out of his mind, and then decides to kill him. It's very cowardly, actually.
Yeah. It kind of voids the original intention of the rule of two that Bane would have said.
That's why it failed. Yeah.
It has to be strong.
And Palpatine was pretty out there, man. You know, he considered himself the bee's knees. So that's one thing that I liked about the legacy comics was when Darth Krayt goes to Korriban and he gets the ghost of, I think it's Nihilus and Dendu and Bane.
Darth Revan. Oh, Bane, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Bane was there.
And he asks them for help, and then Bane's like, I hate you, you're trash.
And then
that's
Nihilus, I was like,
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well,
when
that's
when
another
I
thing
first,
I was about to say. With the like us when you said like how the Plagueis novel adds on to Phantom Menace, but like the Ultimate Marathon is to start with the Darth Bane trilogy all the way up to Plagueis, and then
Mhm.
watch Phantom Menace, and then it adds a lot more impact because when Maul faces off with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon, it's like that's the context of that is that's the first meeting in
And
1,000 years, and
Jedi
you really
Apprentice.
feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jedi Apprentice, read Jedi Apprentice beforehand as well. And it ends with them going off to fight Darth Maul. And you know what's going to happen. You're like, oh boy. Such a great series as well. Even though it's a junior novel, definitely worth a read. Because I know some people that say, I
all
don't
the
read the junior novels. And I'm like, oh, come on, you're missing out on great stories.
Oh yeah, those are some of the better ones. I think they're lovely. They're really a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
yeah. When I first read that Legacy part with the Nihilus, I did not know that Nihilus spoke like that.
Uh,
Like,
It's
the,
a good
the
impression.
concept of Nihilus is just so weird to me.
Yeah, I'm a big my favorite genre of all time is horror. So I really like the idea of Nihilus, how you're just like this dude is just something else, man. Like
yeah.
Yeah, like spooky atmosphere around him for sure.
yeah, it's creepy, man. I like Nihilus. A little bit broken, and also a one-trick pony. But that one trick is, whew,
Eating a planet. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna eat your planet. I'm gonna eat it.
Dude, yeah.
Have a Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, have a planet, Nihilus.
Basically what it is.
And when he stomps out Darth Sion, Sion's like, I don't need you anymore. You are weak. And then just kicks his ass.
Yeah.
But then remember, it took both Nihilus and Sion to beat Traya.
Mm.
Traya is hands down the deepest, most complex Star Wars character, man. You could talk about her for hours and you just scratch the surface because she is, woo!
Yeah. Yeah, like it says, she's all the way down in dogmatic because I don't know. She has her own sort of beliefs and dogma that she believes in, of course, but then she also just throws everything else into question whenever she says something.
That's what I love about her, man, because you're sitting down there, you're so like, I know how I feel. And she just goes, oh, yeah, what about this? And then you're just like, yeah, what about that?
Apathy is death.
Yeah.
Apathy is death. Like, that's some
But then
helter
also
skelter
she
stuff, man. Like, when there's a Waco style shootout, I'm expecting to see blood on the wall that says apathy is death. Like, shit. What the?
Yeah. Let's get Callum monetized. Well, that sounds like a good one. Yeah. I like that
I
idea.
agree. I agree, Callum. Get monetized.
Yeah. You got me about 500 more subs, a little bit less. Would be
Yeah, you
good.
deserve it.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right, I'm going to open the channel tab here. Let's have a look. Can
Get that gentleman to 1,000.
you
Woo.
say that again, please, Teresa?
I'm sorry?
Can you say that again, please?
Oh, you want? Oh, okay. Here we go. Get that gentleman to 1,000.
I just really like having Teresa in my ear. So
Click worthy.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
just
I use my radio voice. It's all right. Gee.
It's just an attractive voice. It's just
it is.
Oh, well, thank you. I used to do radio jingles.
It gets me jingling every time. Hey, Teresa, I had Xanavius on the stream before, and his voice, man, whenever he talks, it's just like he's got the perfect voice, doesn't he?
Oh, well,
I'm sorry. Who has the perfect voice?
Xanavius? The artist?
Xevious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
heck to the yes. I mean, well, we call him proper noun, the voice. Yeah, he's got a really perfect bass voice. Yes.
And he had like this
Ooh,
light
Genji's
music in
in
the
the chat.
background.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just him talking, man. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
why he
real
has
quick.
so many wives and girlfriends. Sometimes
Will
at the same
say
time.
Asked Lethal what he thought of the link I sent him.
Oh, I had a very, very, very good laugh at it, Will. A very good laugh. Your initial statement on it, I think, sums it up pretty well.
Yeah. Kip Duran isn't even on the chat. He isn't. I mean, if you're going to make a chat like this, you'd need a higher resolution, of course, but you'd need way more characters than this. This doesn't even scratch the surface of how many EU characters there are.
Have you seen Evan's tier list?
I don't think I have properly.
Oh,
I might have
spoke-
glanced at it and forgot about it.
I spoke about it. I spoke
Is-
with him about it for like an hour or so. There was some that I really highly disagreed with, and some I thought was pretty on point. I'll see if I can find it for you, man.
Actually, Evan's supposed to be here. He said half an hour, and now it's an hour into the stream.
I think he's forgotten Callum.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
early
yeah.
as F here. I mean, and he's earlier than me, I think. So it's a butt crack of dawn.
Well, he replied to my message earlier and said half an hour, so. All right. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's Revenant is just a bit odd because Revenant, I think, is a lot of also how you play him in Code 4, even though you got a canonical ending.
What did you
My
think about?
side would
Unless it goes back to more.
tell everyone to give him money. Yeah.
What do you think about the voice actor? Because I know, like, the voice actor who plays Revan in KOTOR was Rhino Romano, right? And there was like they played Kyle Katarn or something. One of them.
Don't think I've heard about that.
I'm not too
No,
sure. I don't
it's-
really follow who the voice actors are, but
It's
me
the
too.
I
one.
defer to you on that. Yeah.
It's the one in the Old Republic, the online game. The
Oh,
guy who
SWTOR.
voices-
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, so I saw.
It's
yeah.
the guy who voices him there is the guy who voices. I think it's Kyle Katarn. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's an interesting fact.
there's been a lot of Jeff Bennett. I think has done various characters in Star Wars as well.
Yeah, they say that Kyle Katarn was played by Jeff Bennett.
I've got
Behind the
Evan's
grid.
list.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was waiting until we finished that part of the convo. So here we are with a tier list.
So this is Evan's list. I don't know if I can zoom in much more. Oh, I can.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, so is
Oh,
that
like-
clear?
That's much more.
Yeah. So what's this tier actually supposed to be like? What's the
Power.
scale? Power.
It's a power scale. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I thought he did a decent job, in all honesty. I disagree with a fair few of them.
There's always
that's
discussions
what it is.
about who's more powerful, though. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's hard to scale at Mortis people because they're not as much in fights.
But, they are Mortis gods. Like, he's
Yeah.
got Anakin when he's on Mortis, which I think is fair because he stomps them. But he's also got Anakin further down that's just base Anakin and stuff like
But
that.
also Anakin on Mortis because he stomps them, but then also they're on the same tier. It's like
And it on Mortis is.
Well, yeah. Let me clarify that he doesn't have, because I asked him about this because I was just starting to get a bit that this doesn't make sense on him. But just because he's got one here at the stop, he's not saying that that's number one in that category. He's kind of just grouped them.
so. What? Okay, for the power scale, you also sort of need subsections then inside of each of those rankings. For
Well, if you were going to do it like from top to bottom, then yeah. But all he's really doing is just doing like a S tier, an A tier, and he's just saying these are all the people that would be in there.
S rank hero, yeah.
Yeah, interesting, man. I spoke with him about it for a while.
Yeah.
We're playing around with the idea of. I think I might
EU list Doritos.
Yeah. Did you
Okay.
guys like the Mortis arc? Like as
Mortis arc
Legends?
was my favorite one in that show, to be honest. I don't like that show, but I did enjoy the Mortis arc.
Have you guys seen the latest season of? Clone
Nah, I haven't even bothered with it, man.
I haven't been bothering with it.
Wars?
After episode
Yeah.
9, I was like, okay, I finished episode 9, and then I tried watching the first episode of season 7. I'm just like, I don't care.
I mean,
So I
first, this final arc, like, because season 7 is split into episodes of 4. So the first 4 are based on the Bad Batch. Then the middle 4 are based on a weaker arc about Ahsoka. And then the final 4 is, I think, probably the strongest 4 episodes,
yeah.
which is including the Siege of Mandalore and spoilers here, Order 66.
Yeah, the sequel to the Clone Wars series, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
It's like the sequel to Rogue One. Is watch out for that. Yeah.
No, I've been loving this last season of Clone Wars. I've been
it's
really
been so
enjoying
good.
it, except for the middle part. And see, I've been watching it with the family because the little kids in our lives, they were little children. That was their first introduction to Star Wars. So we're kind of revisiting it now that they're grown-ups. And all of us, to a T, without me even warning them, despised those two sisters. But Steve calls them the Antifa sisters. It was just like... It was like,
I
what
didn't
the
mind
hell?
it so much. If
They're
it was
weird.
2 episodes, I wouldn't have minded, but because it was 4, I was a bit daunted with it by the end.
Oh no, 3 seconds was too much with that, in my humble opinion. Because I mean, it's like Order 66. Those bitches. I mean, gee.
In
I
the
think it was.
original,
So I think it was still cool to see like like the lower levels of Coruscant and the people who live down there, because we haven't really seen really average mechanics and stuff down there.
I can see that point. You're right. I mean, that part of it. It wasn't so much the story, so much as I didn't like the girls, and I didn't care about them. But you're right. That the underground and
the original unfinished episode and the original script had different characters in it anyway, so they changed it from the original version
The
of the
ending,
story
though,
arcs.
the ending of this final season is just so cool.
oh yeah.
It got one of the. I don't want to spoil really for people in the chat who may want to see it, but it's intense, dude.
May the fourth be with you and read the EU. Yeah, thanks for dropping in. GTA 2 SW City. Cool. Yeah, sure. I don't have much to say on it because I have lost interest in the new canon, as I said. It's a thing just like, I don't know, I've had closure now, and now I'm done.
Was episode 9?
Episode 9 was a closure. I started the sequel trilogy, so I still felt like, okay, I'll still give them the opportunity, and I still felt like that can end. And now I'm done, pretty much.
I still feel like The Force Awakens wasn't bad. Like, just because it wasn't.
It was just a disappointment.
I liked it,
Because
just because.
I bought into the hype. I thought about how many good things they could have done, but then they just went back to Rebels vs. Empire, and I'm just like, wow, they could have done so much more.
There's a bit of a deeper story. Like, there's a bit of a deeper. If you look into the visual guides.
Yeah, I don't. I like watching the movie
It
and
was
being able
going
to
somewhere.
understand the movie.
The Force Awakens was going somewhere, but it didn't go anywhere. So I did like it, but now I don't like it because I know all those questions I have and all that anticipation I had went nowhere.
It's still good. It's still good to give things like
G'day,
that a
right,
chance.
And I gave it
Mhm.
a chance. That's what I was doing. I've given the whole sequel trilogy a chance, and then between movies and stuff. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm not that invested and interested in it, so I'm just gonna read more EU, which is the best thing to do.
Cool.
Yeah. Sure, that's what we're doing
still-
right now.
yeah.
But get the new book for this month, the Outbound
Yeah,
Flight.
Outbound Flight, I was listening to it earlier. How far am I into it? I got the audio books for those for the EU book club, and yeah, here I am. Outbound Flight's 4 hours, 44 minutes, and 47 seconds into it.
Oh, there we are. Yeah.
It's a shorter ebook.
Did you guys hear about the Hungarian books being translated into English? They were not the Han Solo books. I think there's 3 of them, and they might be
Yeah, the
getting
Han
translated
Solo
into
trilogy.
English.
Yeah, the Hungarian.
Yeah,
Han Solo.
they were never released.
Interesting.
So it's like, it's like new EU content for us because we never got to read them unless you read Hungarian.
The licensing is a bit questionable with some of those things because they go, well, let's produce this. But then it's also like, well, we did it without being approved by Lucasfilm as such. I'm like, okay.
Callum, you just had a full Evan moment
Yeah.
there. That's Evan's thing.
Evan's thing.
Yeah,
I
Evan's
can-
thing.
Started doing talking, and that's how it turned out. I'll have to rewatch that. Yeah. Is there anything you want to say, Lethal? Because you said you got to get going fairly
Yeah,
soon.
no, I gotta get going. I do have to get going. I will say this. I believe May the 4th is a meme. May 25th is Star Wars Day. But
Yeah.
like
Any
Callum
excuse
said,
to celebrate EU and dress
you
up.
did it again. I'm gonna call you Evan.
Let the man talk.
Exactly. Thank you. Anything you want to say, Lethal? Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Callum. I do appreciate it. And yeah, if you, stick to what you like. I mean, I feel like I've been pretty vocal about my disdain for the new stuff for quite some time and stopped giving attention. I mean, I still like the old stuff. I go back to it from time to time, but yeah, everyone's going to have their own preferences. But yeah, as long as you got something to enjoy, I mean, enjoy it while you can, I guess. You never know when you'll get burned out on it. But yeah, happy May the 4th. Thank you for having me, Callum. Always good talking to you, Gungan. Nice to meet you, Rogue. Everyone in the chat, you're all amazing. And Teresa, I will bring you the severed heads of conquered kings to your very feet if it makes you smile. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it here. Take care. Take care, all. See you, mate.
Very Lethal.
Right.
Wow, take care,
Bye.
Lethal. Wow, that's quite a. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're nice. Thank you.
That's Screw Naughty Dog. Yeah, that's Screw-
Yeah, it's great, naughty dog. Right, mate.
And yeah.
Alright.
So exactly. If now, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, cool. No, it's just us.
I think he just went to tell Evan to come on.
Oh, that was my bad. Just popping in and saying, well, I want to say things. But yeah, any excuse to dress up, talk at you, and celebrate Star Wars, the good ones, then awesome.
Yeah.
So where were we?
Well, yeah. I especially, yeah. I go, and I'm not even sure how much of a meme it was. I don't remember it being a meme. And quote me if I'm wrong. That did Disney start this as a meme, or was it something
It was
that
already.
It
I think
was
it-
a thing that started
Yeah,
during
yeah.
previous Lucasfilm. And
That's
that,
what I thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing I found.
Because-
Is like, I mean, I know it's for the commercial thing of May the
Here's what-
4th being done. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it Revenge of the 5th or Revenge of the 6th? Because I think it's Revenge of the 6th because
It's
it
Reven-
starts with an
yeah.
S and sound. Yeah, like
I'm pretty sure
I
it's
had to
Revenge
keep
of
having
the
this argument.
5th. Yeah.
It's Revenge of the 5th because of the Sith.
Yeah, 5th,
Yeah.
6th.
Six.
Yeah, I don't know. Makes no sense. That's why I don't bother with that one.
Yeah, but that's what I thought. I mean, I thought it was more of a fan thing, or it wasn't like a big thing that Disney. And then all of a sudden, Disney is now acting like, they're the freaking Pope or something, and saying, "I decree that it is now a Star Wars holiday." And we're like, it was just something that we kind of thought was fun and funny. It
It was a
wasn't.
fan thing anyway. And then
Yeah.
they commercialized it, but that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lethal's fine. Last of Us too, yeah.
The power of memes.
Mm.
I'm gonna cut my audio for a minute and put the phone down. I smell baby poo.
Worries.
So yeah, wish me
You're all
luck. I'm going.
good for that. Have fun.
Have
Everyone
fun.
loves getting audio.
Yeah.
Really
yeah.
have fun.
But yeah, definitely one of the things is video games is great. So I don't know how much you're a gamer, Teresa.
But
but
yeah, no, we're all trying to keep it
I'm
in-house.
starting, sort of. My nephew gave me his old Xbox, and I'm trying to get it to work. So I've
nice.
almost got it to work, but I'm still trying
That's
to
the
figure out
part
that.
I've missed out on is the games that were like exclusively on Xbox. I haven't got access to.
Yeah.
It's like the Obi-Wan
I didn't either. I
game.
thought he would let me borrow his Xbox One, but that didn't go over very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's lovely, but they keep saying I can't download onto it or something, and I don't know, they're just being pains in the butt. So I'll figure it out eventually. But I get tech rage, so
So if you get the physical disc, then it'll just install stuff you need when you open it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing, because I was told to play the Portal 2. That's supposed to be like fun, because I'm not into shooting games.
Yeah, Portal 2's fun, but when you get to like the really hard challenges, like you really get,
You have to use your big brain time. Yeah,
It's
use
all
your
about
brain.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That it's the brain. Lovely, yeah, but well, I mean, I know about the stories behind the Star Wars games, things like KOTOR. So I know the story that goes with it. I just never actually played it. I mean, I would watch other people play it. I would talk about the story, but I just wasn't into the actual gaming part of it. But I love the lore that it established and developed, and the art and the concept stuff was amazing on it.
Yeah, definitely great game.
I'm not really a
Well, in
big fan of
KOTOR,
Sorry, yeah. I'm just saying I'm not a really big fan of the gameplay aspect of KOTOR. I thought it was a bit clunky. It just didn't work. It just doesn't work for me. I feel like
it's a specific combat system for that series, and I think either you don't mind it or you don't like it.
It felt a bit Telltale-ish.
Telltale-ish. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, you get to you obviously make your own decisions through the game, and you can choose, whether you want to be light or dark, and you can go a non-canonical way, or you can choose to stay on the light side, which is the canonical way to play.
Well, yeah, Telltale formed actually out of ex-LucasArts employees.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So that's probably where that sort of choice system comes out of. Like they knew what worked with KOTOR as well. And also, KOTOR was a great predecessor to Mass Effect and Dragon Age as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I love about Star Wars video games during the LucasArts era is how they always took risks and innovated a lot of the time with games and brought us brilliant games. Not going to say all of them are great. Like KOTOR's gameplay is a bit like, it could be improved.
Yeah, it definitely could be improved, KOTOR.
They always just set out to do new things and advance the technology, much like the movies have done, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, The Force Unleashed probably for me is the best LucasArts game made.
Okay, so what's your favourite part of that?
The Force Unleashed?
Yeah.
Probably just the fact that you get to, just the character of, Sam Witwer, obviously, just so cool. And you get to play as him in the game. And he's like Vader's apprentice. The whole story is just, you're playing as a character who doesn't really know, what's really normal. And he has to try and learn, how to, obviously he knows that he has to stick with the light side, and eventually, Ram Koda.
He doesn't. He has to stick to the light side first.
Well, yeah, he doesn't, because he's been trained by Vader. Yeah, he's been trained by Vader all his life, and he doesn't really know what's normal, so he has to progress through that.
I mean, that is normal for him, so he has to try and come away to the new way of thinking. Which, I definitely like the story of that as well.
But of course, the gameplay in The Force Unleashed 2 is probably the best looking game that came out of LucasArts.
Well, Blur Studios, who did the Star Wars: The Old Republic trailers, also did the trailers for that, which is awesome.
They look great.
The only thing with KOTOR 2 is I think the visuals are good, but it was super rushed and didn't have an ending for it.
Which one's that?
KOTOR TFU 2.
All right. I felt like it was an okay ending, but it just didn't lead anywhere.
I mean, it left with a cliffhanger that would have been addressed in the next game. if it came out.
But yeah, Sam Witwer said they were doing another one on Twitter, but they obviously never finished it because
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cancelled in favor of something else, and I forget exactly what it was off the top of my head.
probably Rebels.
No, they would have they cancelled 1313 when they decanonized the EU, so it would have been.
Okay.
I think it was a little bit earlier than that. They decided to favour something else, but I forget exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I'm playing through the Jedi Knight games on my channel as well at the moment. I find that to be the best as far as gameplay goes because you've got such a plethora of Force abilities you can actually use and
Yeah.
be able to
And
play with.
The one thing I like, which I've done a review on, is you can actually, at the start of the game, if you look at the stormtroopers that assist Vader in attacking the Jedi on Kashyyyk, you can actually see their models, their armor is more toward the clone. It's a mix between, because that was the transition, right? Because it was set between the two trilogies at the time. So they had to find a way to sort of like mold it. So it's half Stormtrooper, but it's got that line, which, you know, it's like Clone Trooper, Stormtrooper thing.
Yeah, I agree with Wright here. It doesn't hold up well with the combat system, definitely. But I think everyone plays KOTOR for the story more and the decisions you
definitely.
Yeah. I hated the combat system. I nearly put that game down the first time I ever played it. But I'm glad I carried on because it was just so confusing to me as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old.
It was
So
weird. Yeah, I think it was definitely a weird combat system because ultimately you can't, you know, go in and fight like Jedi Knight games. You sort of just have to watch it go down. And if you lose, you lose.
Yeah.
There's no, you know.
it's like a common thing as well, mistake people make, which is go in with two swords or two blasters, and it just doesn't work because of the roll system. You have to have it like
KOTOR.
yeah, it's just like, but many people like, why do I keep missing? It's like, yeah, you need to train it up. So if people are not already familiar with that combat system, like that Dungeons and Dragons type thing, I guess it is. Yeah, they've got no chance, and that's what happened to me first time playing it. It took me 2 weeks to complete that game first time.
Yeah, it's serviceable. It still works. Like you can figure it out, but I mean, when I was a kid, I had no idea what was happening, and so I was just like, "Gonna just use the swords. They work better. They work better."
Just keep spamming Force Storm.
Yeah. And then going, why is it taking up so much force power?
Yeah,
because I picked light side options.
it was the story that kept me driven on that game for definite. Yeah.
Yeah, especially, like, I can only imagine what the fans back then in the Legends era days, like, you know, Revan was an iconic character with the first KOTOR, but then, like, 2011, so many years later, you get, like, a whole novel about him and a continued story.
Yeah, there's a lot of what would be classed as Revan fanboys that completely go, that novel and game doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, because it undermines what your
I mean,
choice.
it doesn't. I don't think it undermines it as much as just continues the story in a way that doesn't allow it to be.
But I'm like, he should have died. He should have died either at the end of that novel, or he should have.
I think it would have been
so long
to have a meaningful death that had a lasting impact on Vitiate.
Yeah.
But like the way it is like, okay, you accept that, and that's what it is. But I think the main thing that people get upset at is that they played the character of Revan a certain way, what they perceived of in KOTOR 1, and then they allude a little bit to Revan in KOTOR 2, but that's from a certain perspective as well, of then going, well, this is different to what I imagined him in my head.
That happens. It's just that would happen if a TV series ever happened of him or anything, or if ever did happen based on that. People wouldn't have liked it.
That's where I go. A lot of that is like, well, just accept it as it is. Of course, they could have made different story choices, but it is what it is now.
Yeah, it exists, so you can't control it. You just got to be a bit stoic about it and just say, "Oh well."
And I think everyone would have preferred a KOTOR 3 to SWTOR at the time as well.
Why not
Yeah.
both? That's what I always
But-
say.
What I love about SWTOR is how all of the class stories are interconnected and how they weave together in the main part. So that's a great thing. And you could still make a KOTOR 3 if you wanted to, but of course, being what
No,
it is now,
no way.
it wouldn't
Do not let
happen.
EA touch the Old Republic.
Oh, no. Being things
Not
as they
anymore.
are now happen anyway because
Yeah.
Lucasfilm doesn't like their EU. So yeah.
Because back when the Old Republic came out, EA was still tolerable at that point, but not today. I wouldn't want them to touch it today.
I mean, I hope at least when the contract ends for SWTOR that the servers will be kept up.
Well, that's what I don't like about it. Like Lucasfilm used to hand out contracts for each game, rather than it was LucasArts, wasn't it? They shouldn't have got rid of LucasArts.
Oh yeah,
that was a big
a
mistake.
decision that they made, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then handing it to just one company to monopolize the games. It's just,
House gaming department, and you know how they like to keep things in house, and then they just went, okay, go out, let's do this. But yeah, we got great games, and I love it. Even the first Dark Forces, even though it was a Doom clone, I like really enjoyed playing that recently as well.
Pod Racer and everything. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
you got that.
My old joystick that I used to play it on.
Oh, nice.
That I've brought
Never
down.
played it with a joystick.
And the joystick is so much fun with it. So
Probably a
I've
lot
got
easier.
that
Yeah.
so One Racer, which has actually been more recently since the decanonization was actually put on Steam as well, remastered, and so it ran on modern systems.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
tried
really-
it on the PlayStation as well, but I didn't like that remastered
Yeah,
one
they're
on the PlayStation. It
releasing-
just doesn't run well.
They're releasing Episode 1 Racer on the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch next year.
Hmm.
But I'm like, I don't know. Like, I still think I'd love the joystick because I think it's the only way to play it, especially from my childhood. Because the other controls would feel weird.
I had to get used to it without. But actually, my first exposure to Star Wars ever was the old SNES game, Super Star Wars. Still can't get past the first level to this day. I think I beat it
I
once.
got the sale PlayStation 4 when the first EA Battlefront came out, and that came with a few of the old games like Super Star Wars and Bounty Hunter and stuff.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's just so impossible. Super Star Wars. It's just
Yeah.
you have to be super good at it.
yeah. It's for me like I beat it once, like the first level using save states, like a cheat on an emulator, but I cannot do it on SNES. Like I can even do Contra, but I can't do Super Star Wars. It's like how is that even possible?
There was one I think I had on the Game Boy that was similar to Super Star Wars. I forget if it was it or if it was just similar. And I think I got past the first level, and then the second level was just annoying. Yeah.
May have been it, yeah, because that sounds it. Is the second level the one where you're like you're using the land speed and you've got to jump these holes and
I forget now. It's been way too long.
but yeah, we'll definitely have to look into streaming Battlefront together as well, the original Battlefront.
Thinking about continuing OG Battlefront, well, they released multiplayer support on Steam and GOG for Star Wars Battlefront 1. So that is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's one of the best games. Yeah, I love the combat system, and I played a bit of it. I didn't finish it yet either. And now when I'm playing Star Wars games, I'm going, well, I'll play that on YouTube.
I love Bounty Hunter. It's I played it recently and I still enjoy it. It's not as fun as it was when I was a kid because it's funny how your mind works when you're a kid. You fill in all these gaps with your imagination. So when you go back and play it as a boring adult, it's like not as good, but it's still good. It's still fun. It's just like it was a bit underwhelming to what I remember.
And I guess that's with anything you love when you're a child as well. You remember just really enjoying it and loving it, and you don't remember the bits that aren't quite as good.
Yeah.
And of course,
Like I had my own story going in my head.
You go back to it now and go, oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. like I used to have my own story going with my head with some games, like in my own little head canon. I can't do that anymore. I just it's too much effort. I just want to chill and play.
Yeah, fair enough. And when I'm thinking of Star Wars, and just like, I don't like doing things with headcanon because that just goes down a rabbit hole, especially when I'm talking on YouTube and stuff. It will go
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. But I do headcanon the Clone Wars 2008, so there's that.
That show was contradicted, like in Legends as well, which is kind of sad.
Well, that's the main thing. It was released when the EU was canon, and so that's when it was contradicting and having continuity errors, and people were trying to reconcile it, and that's why people were mad at it as well.
Technically, like the expanded universe was never real. Lucasfilm considered it canon, and everyone, everyone who worked there considered it as part of, the next chapter and everything. It was canon, but George Lucas just didn't.
I mean, Dave. Obviously, not everyone, because Dave Filoni created the 2000.
Yeah, I think Lucas started to care more about the EU around when he was doing the prequels. That's when he had a little bit more involvement.
He had a bit more involvement. He saw the visual guides. I think he just didn't know the nitty-gritty of it, which, when you're the creator of it, it's such a huge project to try and keep up with everything, wouldn't it be?
I mean,
so that's why he hired people to keep track of it. The only issue is when someone gets to bypass the continuity.
He definitely cared. Like, you can say he cared. He read Courtship of Princess Leia. I know that.
And he had a look at most of the comics because he's more a visual guy. But
and he created Bane, apparently.
Yeah, he look at all of like the the comics and like the stuff that he used and he put in the prequel trilogy, like the Aayla Secura,
and he was very involved in the multimedia projects like Shadows of the Empire and the Clone Wars one, the Force Unleashed as well. It was really awesome.
I think there was some involvement with New Jedi Order, and of course he also axed stories that he didn't like.
He'd get a checklist of things and go yes, yes, no, yes. And when he saw something about Luke Skywalker being killed off, he said no, kill someone else. And so they ended up saying, okay, kill Chewie. And then they were chasing Solo off. But then George wanted them to kill Anakin Solo because he went, oh, the prequel trilogy's coming out, there'll be too many Anakins. People will get confused. Just so silly, but hey. That's what it is.
But, I mean, that didn't really make sense to me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more for single-player games as well. And so the campaign of the 8-second Battlefront was like, meh.
I enjoyed it, really. Like, the visuals are just great. That's why I like it.
And that's the thing to say about the new canon. It's just the technology as well, I think. The visuals are good.
I mean, the story you can debate about whether the story is good or not. But the visuals are definitely on just a stable level.
Yeah, that's the thing about this. A lot of people who like the sequels mainly like it for the visual aspect.
And other than disappearing knives, but yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's like like some people won't like to hear this, but we are on a Star Wars stream. I don't like Marvel movies, and for me, they felt, especially the last two, just felt very Marvel.
Like so many Marvel movies have the same sort of tone to them and feeling that it just starts to go, okay, yeah, I've seen this many times before.
Yeah, it's just felt like that, and I just don't like that, and that's just me. But visually, yeah, there's no comparison. It's amazing, but that's going to happen with technology anyway. Each one will get visually better, more appealing. It depends what you like, though, because a lot of people think the original trilogy is more appealing, not in a purist way, but because they like how gritty it is.
Yeah, and everything feels like it's part of the universe, which is great because I didn't have CGI back then as well. People complain about the CGI prequels, but it was doing that at a time when the technology hadn't fully formed and developed yet, and it was actually helping develop
Yeah,
the
it
technology.
led the way. It led the way in
that-
CGI.
Yeah,
So,
because in the company, the ILM, they really outdid themselves with those movies.
Like George Lucas would push the limits. He would really push. He would ask for the impossible sometimes, and if it's not available, he'd be like, if the technology's not there, he'd be like, well,
No,
make it.
yeah. Did you guys see that Revenge of the Sith behind the scenes? And it's like George Lucas just telling all of the artists there. He's like, okay, here I want a volcano. Here I want a massive dragon, and they're just sitting back like.
how are we gonna do this?
Roger.
He's asking for too much.
Yeah, but I can
But he
appreciate
was
that really. That's why it's
He
so
didn't
great.
get the dragon, but he got the volcano because they worked out how to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, they had a crew of people go and film a volcano for one of the shots.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, there was an eruption. Luckily, just at the right time when you really needed an eruption, there was an eruption, and they went and got all the shots they could as quickly as they could. It's actually quite amazing.
That'd be really cool because I'm starting film and TV. It'd be really cool to go and shoot that.
I mean, if you don't make it out in time,
It's all for the shot as long as the camera gets out. Yes.
Yeah,
as long as the camera gets out, exactly.
Yeah. Save the camera. Just if you have to sacrifice yourself, do it.
It's like if broadcast, if you trip over, you got to catch the camera. Don't catch the person if you're spotting.
Yeah,
I can actually imagine him doing that.
They probably did. That's probably what George Lucas told them to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Get as close
so-
as you can.
yeah.
As close as you can.
I can imagine. I can imagine them all done in suits as well, and all the heat resistant suits and that, and just with the camera in the front.
Oh,
I remember seeing them get the shot, and I
Yeah.
can't remember. I think they were actually a distance away from it. All jokes aside.
Yeah, they were definitely far away.
Use a good lens and you can get it close enough anyway, so you're fine.
George
Yeah.
was probably like, "Damn these regulations! I wish I could get them closer."
It was
I don't think the system works. Yeah.
yeah. It was definitely from afar because the distance was pretty wide, and of course the volcano was pretty far out.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, it's.
Lens you can punch right in. It's cool.
I always say though, like Revenge of the Sith, for me it's my favorite Star Wars movie. Cliche, Empire Strikes Back, because that's the one that hooked me as a kid, like truly hooked me into the story. But Revenge of the Sith is George's best work,
Yeah.
like
No, I agree.
across the board in all movies.
And as well, you got to remember he did that by himself compared to working with another director on
I
Empire
think
Strikes Back.
it mainly came from just learning from the mistakes he made in episode 1 and the critics' responses, that they had. Of course, there was a lot of things disliked in episode 1. He tried to shove it out in episode 2, and
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
What do
with
you
Jar Jar
think?
doing that sneaky smile to the camera. Did you ever see that?
yeah, I saw that.
the Darth Jar Jar theory based on episode 1. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he
That
was
was a lot of fun.
smiling. Yeah. I don't think he was really smiling at the camera. I think it was more just like he's looking over or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But he's Darth Jar
the
Jar.
Jar Jar hate hadn't like
He's so powerful
The
that
Jar
he
Jar-
can break the fourth wall.
yeah. Yeah, I think Gungan's right. I think it is because the Jar Jar hates at that point. The internet wasn't, because back when Phantom Menace came out, the internet wasn't as widespread as as it would be. So the Jar Jar hate hadn't taken off too much at that time, to the point where it's really annoying George Lucas, because it definitely did get to him in the end. I totally understand that.
Best as well, unfortunately.
Did you guys see the recent interview with? Well, not recent. It was filmed a while back, a few years back, but it was posted on Star Wars on the official YouTube channel. George Lucas said that his favorite arc from the Clone Wars was the season 5 droids episode.
Do you know what? I've only seen that arc once because I
Yeah.
generally skip filler. But I think I can understand why
Yeah.
that would be, just based on what I know about him. Like,
mean,
he emphasized droids. He emphasized droids kind of like rights and that they're more conscious than people realize. It's clear from episode 1, the very first episode, that he was trying to push this. Droids are treated in a certain way, like they're not even allowed in bars, but they're actually they kind of have feelings
which
and all
is
that.
interesting. Which is interesting because in the Mandalorians episode 5, there was a droid working as the bartender.
There's only one season of droids.
All right.
Oh gosh.
I just finished The Mandalorian last night, actually,
That's cool.
because we've been behind in the UK.
Are you planning on watching the second season or no?
I am, but I am a little bit disappointed that Ahsoka's going to be in it. And I don't mean to say I don't like Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka's great. It's just, it's like I'm a lot like it's something one of my friends said, and she's completely right. Mandalorian's a thing on its own. It's so disconnected from everything else in Star Wars. It just stands on its own. And to bring Ahsoka into it gives it relation to something else, which is.
I think the thing at the end of the day is it a story that after you watch it, you go, that had to be told. And I go, no.
Yeah, but overall, it's cool that we're going to see an actual, live action version of Ahsoka, because it's something we've never, out of all the characters, Ahsoka, everyone's always said that, we need Ahsoka, live action Ahsoka, and we just never got it. Yeah. I mean, we even in Solo, we've got like Ray Park and Sam Witwer, but I feel like it's always been necessary.
Yeah, I think that they're gauging that as well by introducing her into The Mandalorian. I can understand why. The Mandalorian's got the most widespread audience out of anything that has come out from Disney. So to introduce her into that is to introduce her to the general audience, and then they can do a show if the public reaction is good.
After everything else not being as good, it's a half decent show.
Yeah, I watched the last episode last night, and it was I just loved the way it took out Moff Gideon. It's just, that was epic. That's
What did you think about that final scene?
I need to rewatch it because I switched off after he killed Moff Gideon.
Right.
I never switched it off. I just my head was in my phone afterwards. So.
Okay.
When you're reading the EU, you focus on the EU. Bring it back to the EU.
Yeah. Sorry, Colin.
That's all good. You can allow space for talk.
It's hard these days, but I think a lot of people make an exception with The Mandalorian. So. No, but EU, as you know, because we talked about it on my podcast, Colin, like the Darth Bane is always my favorite. Like, it's the one that had the most impact on me. It changed my worldview. It changed my philosophy, not in a bad way, and I'm not a Sith, but it gave me a more sense of individualism. And
that's something a Sith would say.
Only a Sith feels an absolute.
It made me more on the libertarian side of things, but not in a bad way. I'd never considered individualism really as a thing. I was always a very collective person, and it ironed out the flaws very clearly in what that could be, in collectivism. And doesn't mean I'm anti-collectivism. It's just it just impacted.
And there's
put myself first sometimes.
Yeah, and there's different cultures as well, because some countries will be very collective with their culture, and yet, like here in Australia, we're very individualistic, and so you get that contrast as well.
Yeah, something that really gets you off guard, for me at least. I mean, is in that book, the Revan Holocron. Like, I always thought of Revan as a more video game bad guy character, or just a video game styles character. I don't really think of him as like a really he'd be that much into the lore, but it was cool to see that
That's
he
the
was there.
beauty
Yeah.
of the expanded universe in that
And
it's all
it connect-
connected. And it's all
Yeah,
on
it connects Revan beautifully to the
Yeah,
prequel
and-
trilogy
yeah.
through the rule itself.
And so when Revan was on the dark side, the stuff that continues
Yeah.
on from that is interesting.
And
I
one part of the EU, sorry, go on.
I think even the impact that he had on all the stuff, like in the Revan novel, has about the aftermath and how the Jedi didn't let him in, but he was there with Bastila, not really part of the main Jedi Order because everyone
Yeah.
treated him differently. It was quite interesting as well. I found. Really shows even the flaws that led into the prequel era Jedi.
Yeah, the cracks start to show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another part of the EU, which I'm really disappointed at the end of, like, the EU got disbanded when they were starting to get into this, was the Dawn of the Jedi. That, to
Yeah.
me, like, I love that series.
Yeah.
Everything it was
think-
doing.
Yeah.
I love the era because you can really delve into the origin of the Jedi.
You can really
And
see how the most primitive form,
everything came about.
It's definitely, I think the two big things that I want to see that just really were underused is the Dawn of the Jedi era. I want to see that, and secondly, I want to see what happened in the time with the Brotherhood of Darkness, because like there's a time there were in Knight Errant, right? They talk about a new Sith order in that book, which was never touched on again. So it's like there's so much
Because there's a
confusion.
whole gap in between there.
Yeah. It's for me. That would have been my favorite era had it been more complete. Was Dawn of the Jedi, but favorite era is definitely Old Republic for sure.
Same.
Closely followed by the prequel trilogy era or pre-prequel trilogy era, kind of.
Yeah, I think there's definitely the thing of just like we would have got more content if the was continued.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, of
It's
course.
just the whole thing of like I love Knight Errant for a snapshot because I
Yeah.
just read the novel. Remember the snapshot into that specific sort of. It's almost a separate era with the different way that the Sith Empire is made up, and the way the Jedi actually are really disconnected from them. And I find that really cool.
Yeah, it is. That novel basically was a snapshot because it's set in a time where you don't really know too much about, what went on, because we know there was a takeover. We know the Sith lost their ways and delved into, the Brotherhood of Darkness, but then eventually Darth Bane resurrected it as a new sort of order.
Yeah, as we can see in Path of Destruction, which is
A stronger empire.
your new empire.
I love how have you ever heard like video clips or audio clips of like old British, like Victorian English, like the way they say empire, and it you can hear it in how Imperials, especially in the Old Republic, say empire. They go empire. It's like I love those little details that you can cross-reference with history, and it's
cool. It's funny that you have a British accent for the Imperials.
it's because I think that's Peter Cushing's influence, because that's why he was picked as well. He spoke in a very Victorian English way, and that became the standard of old empire. The old Imperial Empire. I just love those little historical references you can find, or little things you can see have been borrowed from, and you see it all over the EU, especially philosophy. It's such a melting pot of different kinds of philosophies.
Yeah.
May the 25th does be with you, doesn't roll off the tongue as much. Yeah, I'll probably stream on May the 25th. That's a Monday as well, so that'll be good.
I was going to
I'm not
invite you to on May 24th, actually.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that later.
we'll talk about. I'll sort out the stuff. That's a few weeks away anyway now, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Favorite comic series? That's hard for me because I haven't read most of them. I had a huge stack that my parents got me for $50 at one time because I love Star Wars. I've read most of them, but at the moment, I'm gonna have to say the Ania Solo run of Legacy, Legacy Volume 2.
Yeah,
has
if we're
been-
talking Legends, probably I would say Legacy as well, or the Old Republic comics, one of them. If we're talking canon, I'd probably say the Charles Soule Darth Vader series.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I've not really read much of the EU comics, like you call them. I have read some of the new canon comics, but I'm not going to go into them. But it's, I'm bad with names on post Return of the Jedi stuff, which is the one with Kate Skywalker.
That's Legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah, that is
That's like
Legacy.
Legacy.
Comics.
That Legacy definitely. Yeah.
Another thing that would have been explored if they hadn't cancelled it was what would have happened between Crucible and Legacy.
Yeah, even
Ooh, yeah.
thinking about the Legacy comics, they would have finished off Cade's story in a better way because they pretty much had to say, okay, the run's ending, and so we have to finish it up.
Yeah, I just felt that there wasn't enough material between there. Like, I don't think it was right to just jump, so many years ahead. Like,
It's-
you've got,
It's what they're doing. I
Crucible.
think they jumped ahead and then they jumped behind, and then they were going to connect them together eventually.
But I didn't like that, really. There was a good story. The final issue especially, just great story with Darth Red. But I feel like there needed to be more material. I don't think it was good.
Yeah, that's called wanting to continue the EU.
Well,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah,
feel
good
like
luck
they
to the
should've-
Twin Sons Foundation who are trying to get that done, but it's a bleak hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but I feel like they should have, they shouldn't have just jumped ahead. I still feel like they should have, at least created some sort of connection first.
Do you have any thoughts, Matt? Teresa?
Oh, well, I actually have not read the Legacy, so I feel like I can't really say too much, though I do know that there was that big gap there. So
Yeah, there was.
So,
yeah.
what's your favorite comic series?
my favorite comic series, it would probably be the X-Wings, the ones that went along with the X-Wing ones. But one of my favorite standalone ones was Union because it was romantic. It was Mara and Luke getting married. I loved that graphic, that series.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate to me that they didn't have, one of the biggest events not being, a novel, but it still works.
Oh yeah, when it was Michael Stackpole and I remember because we didn't get it as a graphic novel. Of course, it was like
Yeah,
four series, and it was like, what's her wedding dress gonna look like? So there was some stuff for the chicks there, and I thought her wedding dress was amazing. And then there was some action though. So I thought the art in it was a little weird. I think that the artist could have been a little better, but I really enjoyed that. But the X-Wings, they're my friends.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do find it interesting how some events like Dark Empire and Union and stuff are only in comics.
Mm-hmm.
And those are major events.
It is weird when you have like major events in the comic books because I feel like we all I'm not sure, but we all probably prefer novels over comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
I generally do, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
But at the same time, when you're doing the marriage, like the story of Union wouldn't be a very big novel.
no. Well, it was a very short one. I mean, if somehow they could have maybe incorporated it into.
Yeah, I think
Or even, well, since we can just pretend, after Vision of the Future in the paperback edition, they could have had Tim Zahn write it as a short story. That would have been cute.
Yeah, that would be cool. A lot of the short stories are only included in the paperbacks.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like in the paperback, A Vision of the Future, because I mean, it came out around the same time, so that they could have had that when the paperback, A Vision of the Future came
And
out.
I was thinking, like, when I was collecting some of the short stories, I was like, why don't they put it in the new releases of the hardcovers?
Yeah, part of it's, I think, a little bit of the marketing and the exclusion, maybe that people that perhaps would only buy the hardback, they're like, but damn it, I want to read that story. So they go ahead and go for it. Yeah.
I think Honor Among Thieves actually has the short story in the hardcover, actually.
Oh, it does. Oh, well, there you are.
Because I remember going, oh yeah, the short story's in the back of it. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's been a few times when I really don't bother to read the short stories. I don't know. It's a personal preference, I guess.
You want to really get into it and have it be a bit more drawn out, right? I'm kind of the same, so I can imagine. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I feel like it's just like I just want to experience the novel. I feel like the short, like when it comes to Legends, I'm just not big on, like the stories with, just those side stories. Like I can't get through the Marvel comics. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm more invested with the main stuff rather than, the short stories here and there.
Yeah, that's
And you
understandable.
read the main stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's things like droids in the Ewok cartoon. I just can't get into that for some reason.
And they're very dated anyway and haven't aged very well, so that would be part of it.
Yeah.
That's my girlfriend's image of Star Wars. She used to love the Ewoks. I'm like, so that's what she brings up when we discuss Star Wars.
Yeah, I just can't get into that personally. I just think, I'm more of a person who's into the main novels like the Thrawn trilogy, Darth Bane, the Old Republic.
The thing about the Old Republic era is a lot of it's told in comics as well, so it's well worth reading the comics for there. Because when I look at my timeline, the Red's comics, and then like the Old Republic's a lot of red, and then when I get to Post Return of the Jedi, it's mostly black because black's the normal novel color, and I'm like, wow, there's so many comics for the Old Republic, but hardly any around the Post Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's cool. It's just interesting to see how like the comics must have boomed.
Yeah, did you hear the story about how Star Wars saved Marvel?
Yeah, that's actually been really interesting.
Yeah, that's just due to like the contract he gave them. Otherwise, they would have actually possibly been liquefied. That's I love that. Like, and the same with like.
And that's why their rights are all over the place as well with their characters. So they were selling off their popular characters to try and stay afloat.
Yeah, that's what was going on.
With Star Trek fans as well, like often I'm in a lot of Star Trek groups because I like Star Trek as well. Not as deep into it, but still. But you always get like this one post at least once per day where someone takes a dig at Star Wars, and people always say the same thing, like, why can't you like both or this? They're different. But it's always like, I always remind them, like, if it wasn't for George Lucas if it wasn't for Gene Roddenberry making Star Trek in the first place, George Lucas probably wouldn't have had so much influence of Star Wars. But if the Star Wars movies weren't a success, like the A New Hope wasn't a success, then Gene Roddenberry has said himself he probably wouldn't have made Star Trek motion pictures. So also Star Trek, Star Wars had an effect on Star Trek as well, and vice versa. It's just I like how these things connect. Back then, like how much influence Star Wars had.
George Lucas was going to try and buy the rights to Flash Gordon as well, and then he couldn't. So he made Star Wars.
Yeah.
How interesting would it be to have a Flash Gordon movie like Star Wars?
Well, they tried. There was the Flash Gordon one that came out after Star Wars. Yeah,
which
the one
did the sound.
Dun 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 dun. Flash. It was great. I thought he was so cute, and I thought it was a good movie because I was like 5, and then I watched it later.
I watched it when I'm older with my parents, and we just had great fun with it. We know it's an older movie, and it's just so corny and hilarious. It's just like...
Yeah, has Timothy Dalton in it. It has great actors.
And what's his face that played Emperor Ming?
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name now, but yeah, I think he
He's here to
died.
save us all.
Hmm.
Near, 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 near.
Savior of the universe, save every one of us.
Yes.
Ah.
I don't know if you'll get a copyright strike. I'm trying to alter it.
That's why we sing it ourselves and don't play the actual piece of music.
Oh, okay. So it's okay. 'Cause I was like, well, the way they are right now. Oh,
We're
no.
transforming it when we.
Yeah, we're definitely transforming. Well, just the way they are right now, if you just talk about something, they copyright strike you. It's like,
Yeah, at least Flash Gordon isn't owned by Naughty Dog.
yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. I'll tell you, I never even heard of Naughty Dog till this happened, and
I sort of knew about Naughty Dog just as a game developer, but I mean, not much else about them.
Yeah. I mean, now they're a household name to me, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Bad marketing.
I'd probably, yeah.
He's here to save us all. Great. Now I've got that stuck in my head.
Queen. It's why Queen has great music, of course.
Queen
That's why
couldn't write a
the
bad song.
Dawn and Evan again. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
no,
it's why the original Marvel.
Go ahead, Evan. I mean, sorry.
Dude,
Yo,
yeah.
It's
I have
why
an
the
evil side. This quarantine's
Where
bringing
is
out
he?
my dark side.
Was that a genuine slip, or did you actually?
No, I
was
just
that a
made it
joke?
up.
Has he said anything, Callum?
No,
Has he said
I don't think he said anything. He's
Hmm.
just gone. I haven't looked
Probably.
at Twitter
He
though.
probably forgot about it, dude.
Or he didn't wake up. I don't know where he is. I mean, it's
He
only
said half an hour, and it's 2 hours into the stream, and he still hasn't come.
yeah. Well, he might have dozed
Oh.
off because I mean it was 5 o'clock when y'all started. So
Yeah.
early. But
Wow.
I was up anyways because I have to get up early now because it's so hot in the day. You have to like do stuff in the morning and then stay inside and then come out
It's
at night.
getting
again.
cold here. It's getting.
Oh yeah, you're having winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got my heater next to me. You can
Never
put
heard
my
Oh
an
my
heater-
Australian even say the word cold. and it's not in reference to beer.
Oh yeah, you crack open a couple of cold ones with the boys.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, we're getting like in the 90s toward the hundreds, and you just can't even breathe, so you just stay inside with the air conditioner. So we're
Yeah,
kind
for
of
once in Britain, we got a nice summer.
I'm sorry.
We got for once in Britain. For once in Britain, we got a nice summer, and we're on lockdown.
Oh, I know. I've been hearing about
was
that.
raining
It's
last
really
year.
sunny. Yeah.
Evan said he was
It
going
was raining all last year.
Yeah.
He
Will.
turned up.
Yeah, he hasn't come yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sure. Well, I always feel like we're like Australia because you all have to stay inside, because it's cold and wet, and we have to stay inside because it's too hot. Because winter is just like
Everyone else has to stay inside because of coronavirus.
well, that too. Yeah. Well, everything got ruined by Corona. I mean, absolutely.
I mean,
No crowns for us.
pretty sure people had some good times with corona before the virus.
Yeah.
I've got all these plans to go places when it's done, and I just know I'm not. It's just it's getting me through it.
Well, my problem is it occurred to me that a lot of the people that I want to do stuff with may not be able to come because once everything goes, I'm like, let's all meet in Vegas. And then I realized everyone's got to like do stuff. So
It's
Yeah,
like,
we have to
People
be
be out looking for
work
work.
is finally back on. We need workers. Oh,
Oh,
yes.
no,
all these
I think
people
it's great.
required.
Yeah. But I was just like, let's go to Vegas. And it's like, sorry, man, I got to be doing that. No, I mean, it's great though. When the international travel ban is lifted, I will be a very happy camper because I love traveling and right now we don't even know when it's going to be. I mean, even if we get it all under control, they may not let us fly overseas.
Yeah, they want to make sure
Probably
that
be
it's
business only.
eradicated, probably, so it doesn't start up again.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you, sir. You just said business only. Oops, I need to go on a business.
Yes.
That's just it. Yeah, just fake one. If you know someone who
But it
owns a
might
business, just say
depend
having a meeting with them.
It might depend on your country's laws as well. For that.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. What
Well,
the
apparently
US
Britain is waiting for America to open up before we open up the airports,
'Cause
and
this-
I have a feeling that goes to the whole lockdown. You know.
Here in Australia, we completely shut down international borders. So.
Yeah.
And then national flights are only for business as well. So.
Well, research. There we go. Research. I'm doing research.
Oh yes, I want to
Research.
fly for research purposes.
Yeah, I need to go over to Europe and research. I don't know, architecture.
Yeah.
That's
Just,
a great architecture over there in Europe.
take some like geographical equipment with you and say you're doing seismic readings or something, just so you can go mountain hiking.
Yeah.
Get a DSLR that can shoot some good video and go, I'm going to do a film shoot.
Well, I always do take a bunch of footage and put it on my YouTube. So it's like, for my YouTube, that's not monetized, but who knows about that?
I need to
That's a good point as well. The first
Will.
country that opens up, like first Western country that opens up, that's probably where all the film companies are going to flood to start shooting again.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Will be, especially since everything's being postponed anyway, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, that makes me bitter because I just got to the season finale of one of my favorite new shows, and I'm like, I may never see the end of this because I don't know if some of the smaller shows that aren't like big superstar shows are already hits, that if they'll be able to be renewed.
Yeah, I'd hope they'd be able to
Yeah.
be renewed as soon as everything's lifted.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I just finished Better Call Saul the latest season, and I'm thinking, if they haven't shot the new season, I don't know if they have. Those actors are aging quick, especially the guy who plays. God, I've watched the whole season yet. I can't remember his name. The old guy. I'm like, ugh, he's starting to age a lot.
It was
I'm
so
like,
good you forgot.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just can't wait for this to be over. Really, I'm a hermit anyway.
At least we have,
But
at
still.
least we have Mandalorian season 2 already filmed.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have all of our
And
EU
he started shooting season 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
Going off topic again.
And the comic books, I actually got my collection digitally before I got a lot of the hard copies as well after 2014. So
Yeah,
I'm
luckily
reading a
they
lot of the
already
comics digitally.
luckily they already made all the EU movies for us to watch. Yeah.
The 2003 Clone Wars micro series, go watch it.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah, good fun.
Yeah, good times as always. Well, gentlemen, I am actually going to have to sign off because my work day is about to begin. I'm one of those very, very lucky people that my job.
You're
is,
essential.
yeah, and I mean, really, I'm essential, and it really is essential. The entire planet would be overrun with tiny little monsters called 6-year-olds if we weren't keeping them busy. So,
I thought it was going to lead somewhere else for a minute.
oh no! Wow, I'm not sure what it was going to lead to.
Just going to go to work and be Anakin Skywalker.
Oh well.
Oh dear.
Wow. Well, no, that's only the kind of thing that you dream of when. Never mind. No, you never do. You never do. That's why Anakin could never be a school teacher. He would be a very bad one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he'd slaughter them all.
Because they would all fear him.
The first time they said, "I want my mommy," he'd be like, "Blah, that's it." I'll show
Mommy.
you.
This is
Go
your new
meet her.
mommy. He brings in Padme.
You'll go meet her in the afterlife, kid. No, I adore them, but yeah, it's like that stuff I gotta do and put together and stuff, and got meetings. Though I tell you, if I never see Zoom again for the rest of my life, I will die happy. I almost went full Anakin.
Next minute they switch over to StreamYards.
Well, StreamYards I can handle, but I mean, I had a meeting that went on so long and it was so tedious, and you can't move because you have to have the video on to prove you're being a good person. And I just nearly lost my crap. I nearly took my laptop and just threw it across the room.
I know a lot of people, as soon as they were furloughed or laid off, Zoom was gone. Zoom was the first thing that went.
Yeah.
Okay, so the trick for that is going, I need to go get a drink and go to the toilet, and then you just never come back.
Just hide behind the camera.
Or you take
Yeah,
a
you should get
screenshot
like a pop out of you.
and set that it's a virtual background.
If there's a way to like put another like a webcam overlay of yourself, just like I don't know, write notes or.
Well, you can OBS Virtual Cam, for example, what I'm using here. This is the screen that I see because I can do OBS Virtual Cam. You can
right.
actually do that and just loop a video of you. No, yeah,
You're
anyway,
thinking about that, aren't you? You're going for quiet.
that's a good idea. Anyway, yeah, Teresa, have a great time at work.
I plan to. Well, I really also want to thank you, Callum, for inviting me on. I really do appreciate it. It's a lovely way to start off my Monday, and a pleasure, Mr. Gungan Fighter, to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. It's always good having you on. It was great.
Oh, well, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead, or if you want to, since you apparently you enjoyed it so much last time, because you can kick me if you want.
I'll let you kick yourself this time.
Oh, okay. It's like, welcome, Teresa. Oh, well, goodbye. Okay. And we're going to go. Okay, here I am. Okay. Have a good day, everyone, and may the force be with you always.
Every day is Star Wars Day.
Yeah.
Oh, I can add it back in.
Really. 25th is. Yeah. 25th is
Yeah,
it's always been 25th. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's the 25th. It's the main Star Wars anniversary. Or the 15th
George
of
Lucas's
November.
legacy should not be forgotten. So I'm going to keep it
The
25th
15th
for
of
me.
November 1976 was when the original novel came out.
Yeah. That basically kicked off the EU.
I mean, 1991 with Head of the Empire mainly kicked off the EU, but
Yeah. Well,
it was the first piece of Star Wars media.
I haven't really
Did you guys?
Yeah, sorry.
No, because you're about to go into something. I was about to deviate into another novel. Go on.
I was just going to say, I haven't really read the A New Hope novelization, but from what I've heard, it's probably the weakest out of the novelizations. I've seen Matt Wilkins' review on it, and apparently, like, the really only, the largest change from the novelization to the movie, which I found really interesting, is at the beginning. Apparently, it's taken from like an excerpt from like the Wheels of the Force.
Yeah, it's Adventures of Luke Skywalker from the Journal of the Wheels.
Yeah, the Journal of the Wheels, right? Yeah, I thought that was interesting because that was always an idea for George Lucas
I
had.
thought you were going to mention how I gave a bit of backstory to Palpatine at the start.
Yeah, I haven't really read too much into it, Callum, but
because at the start they have a description of how the Emperor rose to power, and that lines up with the prequels.
Didn't they call him President Palpatine at first?
I forget. The only thing you really got to keep in mind when you're reading the novel, because it's been so long since I read it, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It's that it was based off of an early version of the script. So
yeah, it was. Yeah.
It's from that.
Yeah. And then in Clone Wars Season 7, Dave Filoni and the team tried to make those characters like canon and create a whole story for them there.
Oh, there's a comic called The Star Wars, which is actually based off of the first script
Yeah.
that they made as an Infinity story in that. So that's an interesting read as well.
Yeah. I've seen some people collecting those. Yeah. I've never gotten into it, but like it's pretty interesting.
They don't
story.
seem as important because they're just like the what if ones and like, okay, this is cool. You just made a bit of a story out of the original script, but it's an interesting read to just see the original version of it.
Yeah, because it was a totally different story from back then with Star Killer and his two sons.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Well, also,
Did you guys read the Darth Malgus book?
Yeah, Deceived.
Yes, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what? I haven't finished it, so spoil it. And I was loving it, and so spoil it because it's my own fault for not finishing it. But I always thought he's a one-dimensional villain until I read that book.
Finish
It's amazing.
No, I'm not going to spoil it, but it is really cool.
Yeah. They only gave Palpatine a first name in the new canon. So I think he was named after his father. He was also Kasinga Palpatine in the EU. But he assumed his first name was only called Palpatine.
Could you put the question on again?
Yeah, sure.
So, okay.
Because, yeah, Sheev is something from the novel Tarkin that they added into the new canon from memory.
Wait, so the name Sheev was never used in Legends?
No. The closest we come is his father's name is Kasinga Palpatine, and I believe he was named after his father, but he didn't want to use his first name, so he's just always called Palpatine.
Yeah, I always thought he'd have a Roman
What did you
kind
say
of name.
what did you say his first name was?
Kasinga.
Kasinga. That was Legends.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds. I mean, Sheev just sounds like a meme. It sounds silly, but.
Yeah, he doesn't also need a name, really, but
He had a pretty abusive childhood in Legends.
Yeah, he did. But he also was always different, as they comment about in the Darth Plagueis novel. So there's that.
Yeah, he was evil from birth, according to his dad, but we don't know if that's true. If his dad viewed him that way, no wonder he turned out evil.
Yeah. If someone speaks that into your life that much and treats you that way so much, then you are going to turn out evil.
Yeah, unless you've got a good guidance. It's too bad the Jedi never found Palpatine before Plagueis did. But I never understood that as well. Why didn't the Jedi ever find Palpatine? He's on Naboo. It's not exactly a remote system. And they had this list of these Force-sensitive children, but and his dad didn't like him. Why didn't he send them off to the Jedi? But why was he not on the list? It's something that's always nagged at me a little bit.
I'm just going to put that in the chat.
That's actually very interesting how they named him with two different names in Legend and canon. So, but Sheev was like I'm sorry, not Sheev. Tarkin, the novel Tarkin by James Luceno. That was written when Legends was still going, but
it's one of those pseudo EU ones that was changed because of the canonization. And so I don't know if that's one of the parts that was changed or what exactly. I'd have to know from the author.
James Luceno worked on it originally because when Legends was happening, they had James Luceno, and then canon came into play. I wanted to promote that. So they just got that novel and, tweaked some, things about it that didn't really fit and tried to make it as their own thing.
And, yeah, it's Heir to the Jedi, Tarkin, and whatever the other one was that was originally going to be written for the EU, but then they changed it for the new canon because they had to create content. I think the only things that didn't really change was Son of Dathomir and a couple of the
because Son of Dathomir is across.
What time is it in the US right now? Like Eastern.
None of us live in the US, so I don't know.
Yeah, let me figure that out. I'm just wondering if Vasili's online. I know he's off work. He would be a great person to bring on.
Yeah.
He wants to tell me off for not liking Mace Windu, so now's the perfect time.
Yeah. That's cool. But yeah, it's always been a great journey through the EU for me as well, because I started reading chronologically in 2016, the novels. And so now I'm at X-Wing Wraith Squadron. I just started pretty much. It's really cool. 8:30 EST. Okay, pal.
8:30. Okay.
Oops,
Cool.
I clicked that.
Yeah, do you want to? Because Carlo, I can't multitask on this phone. It will freeze up StreamYard. Do you want to just see if he's on? If you're okay with that, I just, we're both friends with him, so
People would be good because Evan didn't turn up.
Who do
Yeah,
you want to
'cause-
bring on?
a mutual friend of mine and Callum's. He used to be a Wikipedia editor, so he's a bit of an encyclopedia on a lot of the EU, and
Okay.
he's really interesting for this kind of stuff. Maybe we should talk about something while Callum does this. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
should
gonna get
talk
us
about
started.
Yeah. You say
So,
that banner.
do you play the Old Republic?
I played it a few times. I can't really get into the it's pretty typical, KOTOR. It's basically KOTOR, mechanics, which I think is okay. The story, I'm just into it. Anything that really continues, I'm into. Like that's why
We're looking forward to the latest expansion sometime in the next couple of years for SWTOR, and the latest expansion also came out this year.
Yeah, okay.
Probably the last expansion.
The last one should be the next one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's some sort of cinematic, and people are saying, "Oh, there's not going to be a cinematic because it's in EA's hands," but that's not necessarily
No,
true.
it's more because Lucasfilm doesn't like the EU, and they would have to spend a fair bit of money for Blur Studios to create the cinematic.
Well, yeah, not only that, but look at 2017. Look at those awesome cinematics. That's probably the best cinematics we've had yet in 2017.
Blur Studios,
Knights of the Eternal Throne.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that was all still back when the EU was canon, and then afterwards they don't care about it as much. So
I want the final expansion to be if it's the final expansion, I want to have a cinematic. Obviously, I want it to go out with like a really big boom.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because it's basically like the last bit of the EU concept. Oh, sorry, baby making noise. It's the last of the EU will ever get, so it's got to go out with a big emotional bang. It's likely the last of the EU will ever get on screen like that.
Yeah.
We'll see, I guess. I mean, I doubt it because they pretty much just want to finish off the story and they wouldn't want to give it more money than it needs.
Yeah, unfortunately. I've not played even the last expansion, actually. I just... When I'm working, I have the money for it, but I also don't have time to play it. And then when I'm not working, I don't have the money for it.
Save up the money for when you're not working.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. But hopefully, when it does eventually end, they'll do like they did with Star Wars Galaxies and
that'd be
manage to
keep the servers afloat somehow. But if you sub for 1 month, you get access to all the expansions anyway. So once the last one's released, just pay for 1 month, and then you'll be able to play it all.
Yeah. I've been sub for a while. I do get the expansions, but it's like
something I've been wondering about is how in Legends, I'm not too sure about this in Legends being canon. Force ghosts, right? Basically, in the Old Republic, you saw that Revan was a Force ghost. Yeah, he became one.
Yeah.
But in canon,
it was sort of split. Because it's like he had his
Yeah,
light side
yeah.
Force Ghost thing, and then he got a physical dark side.
Yeah, but eventually he merged, right? But he's still
Yeah.
a Force Ghost. In canon,
Yeah.
you have to actually learn, how to become
Yeah,
it. You don't
in
just
the EU, it seems to be a lot of a mindset thing, and there's
so
not really
you don't
stipulated.
okay. So
In
you don't
the-
have to go through trials in the Legends. Is that what you're saying?
And the main reason why Yoda and Obi-Wan had to learn how to become Force Ghosts, I think, was because they'd learnt the older way of the Jedi.
Mm.
And so
Yeah,
when
that's-
Luke
even-
teaches the Jedi the way that he does with his new Jedi Order, a lot of them ended up being more prone to being Force Ghosts when they died, like Mara Jade and that, compared to the older Jedi.
Yeah.
And of course, Luke didn't learn how to become a Force Ghost. Because also Anakin became a Force Ghost without the training in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. So in one of the Legends novels, right before he dies on the second Death Star, Obi-Wan calls to him.
It
So,
helps him
but
along that last bit.
Yeah, Obi-Wan calls to him on the second Death Star just before he died. But what happens there? Like, what was the interaction? Because I didn't get that.
It was supposed to be something like he told him to listen, don't speak, and follow his instructions to the T
Yes,
very
but
quickly,
What
and then
were
he
the
will.
instructions?
Well, they
Um,
leave a mystery,
I don't.
I think.
Did it, yeah, I think that bit's left a mystery of what the instructions are, but I think it's something to. It's kind of like I don't even know how to explain it. It'd be like letting go, like just letting go of your consciousness somehow, and I don't know. That would be.
It'd be speculation on exactly what it is, I think.
We need someone who knows metaphysics on here to, who's interested in all that. Sorry, I'm gonna have to mute a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, that's
Well, like I
that's
said, I
very
think it's very
interesting.
much a mindset thing because Revan had a very similar mindset to Luke in the New Jedi Order with being able to marry and not following the order-made rules, I'll call them, as much.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely a debatable topic, I'd say.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to discuss.
I think it's one of those things George would have wanted left a mystery, but they sort of just imply some things about it throughout.
Mm-hmm. Well, in canon, Rise of Skywalker really didn't, especially the Force Ghost scene, that didn't make sense to me, because
Nope.
it's different sort of a
I mean,
thing. You
yeah.
have to. I always thought
It's a new canon.
yeah, but like season 6 is part of the Legends, and of course, as you said, like it's a mindset thing.
That's
But
what a lot of season
always-
6 has continuity errors.
Yeah, but I always
Yeah.
thought of it as a trial thing. Like you have to, because at the end of season 6, which is Legends, of course, Yoda had to go through the trials of becoming a Force
what-
Ghost from Qui-Gon.
How do the trials actually change you afterwards? That's the other question.
I don't think they don't change you. I think it's just like they just prepare you for and just test
Because
your knowledge.
okay, so why would Yoda beforehand not have been able to be a Force Ghost, but afterwards he would? If it's
The
just
knowledge was lost.
yeah,
Well,
they had to teach him the right mindset and way of doing.
That's the thing. You see, exactly. They have to teach him, especially that one scene where he fights his evil counterpart, the Dark Yoda,
Yeah,
and eventually he doesn't beat the Dark Yoda by, just beating him to a fist fight or dueling. He actually sort of just says, He just speaks to the Dark Yoda, his dark self, and says, I don't give you any power. And eventually he just beats him.
yeah, that's a mindset
He
thing.
more or
'cause,
less. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say he more or less accepts that part of himself, but will not give in to it. That's what it comes down to, accepting the grey and the
for
dark.
sure. Because that's like me going and looking at how Luke turned to the dark side in Dark Empire, and he knows that's a part of himself, and he's actually been through that and conquered the dark side, and I think that's all part of it.
Yeah. Oh.
Obi-Wan doesn't have specifically that
I
sort of
think-
thing. But I think
Force ghosts were very much contradicted throughout the EU as well, like with Sith
yeah.
and such.
Yeah.
But
Like,
it's like in Heir to the Empire, Obi-Wan had to go and move on to the other side. But then in Legacy,
That's-
we have a
yeah.
Force Ghost Luke that's lots of years later.
That's interesting because what is the other side? Like we still have no idea what.
That just reflects real life, doesn't it? When we die, where do we go?
it's hinted to be another realm, basically.
Another realm, but what does it look like? Like that's what
Yeah,
I've
it's supposed
always
to-
wanted to
yeah.
know.
Is there something you can describe by looking at it?
Because I always used to imagine it as they're just their conscious selves, but yeah, apparently they are. It is a physical place, so
it's
yeah,
still-
it's
Philosophical questions, guys. When you go to the other side, will you actually be using your eyes, or will it all just be some sort of thing where your
Yeah.
soul exists, and you're experiencing things, but it's not through any of your physical senses?
that's it. Yeah, I always used to think it was the latter, but yeah, it's something. I don't know. This is where I get confused with old canon and new canons. Where
Well,
like,
yeah, that's
But that
interesting
sort of thing
because-
is just like that's the thing I think is just reflects real life. It's like, okay, Force ghosts are anchored like the theory of real ghosts here.
Yeah.
I say theory, but yeah, whatever you believe as far as that goes. But then one have to move on.
Well, yeah,
And
obviously, but
Whatever
like
lies past death.
Luke, yeah, but you see Obi-Wan, he has to move over to what is called the other side or whatever. But you see, like Luke in Legacy, as you said, he's still teaching Cade. Even Anakin didn't move over to this, other side. He's still there with the living Force.
I
He's-
think I was pretty sure he had his last communication with Leia.
No, in Legacy he was there. He was there with Legacy.
Yeah, that's where they haven't set any specific rules on it.
yeah,
Well, it's
it's,
weird.
it's where it contradicts
One of
itself.
those
Yeah.
things, it's like, well, okay, just some people can. You got
Yeah.
remember as well, Anakin and Luke had higher force sensitivity and potential as well, so that could be a factor.
This is where we have to trust in the Redditors to come up with theories to how they connect. The professional
I mean,
Redditors.
Come up with a theory about because Luke was Anakin's son. They're both still Force Ghosts in Legacy, and Anakin had the highest midichlorian count known, and so that
Yeah.
could all be part of it with the higher force sensitivity. And also,
Yeah.
to be honest, Luke does. We don't see Luke appear. We haven't seen him die, so we haven't seen that he's actually appeared to anyone at all in between. So it could be that he just didn't appear to anyone at all after his death, and then he just appears to Cade.
Would there be any need for him to appear, really? To interfere
Yeah.
with the world of the living?
That's the thing as well. Is like he could actually have left it in a good place with the next generation
Yeah,
rising.
there was a need for Obi-Wan to interfere
Yeah.
because there's no Jedi Council to guide him.
Yeah,
And when he's rebuilding the Order, there's a need for Yoda and Obi-Wan to appear to him, and even Anakin to guide him. But after Luke's built it up and he's gone by their instructions or advice even, yeah, there's no need for him to appear. That's how you could look at that, I suppose.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is.
and a lot of Anakin appearing post Return of the Jedi was trying to reconcile himself with Leia as well.
Well, yeah, that was interesting, Bakura, which it really is interesting. The concept of what's going to happen with what happens after the Force. Like after you become one with the Force, what does that realm look like? And it's something you never see, even in canon
Yeah.
and legends. All this lore, you just it's
Something to ask George Lucas if you ever meet him.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "I never really thought about it yet."
He'd say it's whatever you want it to be, or something like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Because
so
that's the
it-
point anyway. Is it's very open ended because
To, like real life death, we don't know where we go after. We'll probably know once we die, and we
George
have
Lucas's intention was to kind of bring all religions together on
Yeah.
with Star Wars and bring one kind of thing everybody can relate to. So it would kind of defeat the purpose of Star Wars if we were to know, because it's meant to be like whether you're a Buddhist, a Muslim, or a Christian, you can, or even even if you're believe in Valhalla. For who knows, maybe they're in a hole drinking mead, and who knows? It's supposed to be. I think it's interesting to theorize on, but it would base on people's perceptions already. Maybe because I was raised an atheist and I still am pretty much for the most part an atheist. I imagine it as them being just their conscious selves almost that can enter the world of the living. But for a Christian, like you're a Christian, aren't you, Callum?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, it's sure you imagine it differently, and a Viking would imagine it very differently.
So how do you imagine it, Callum? What do you think when you think of the concept
of the afterlife sort of thing?
No, in Star Wars.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Like, I would say it's the same thing between real life death and Star Wars death.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest thing to equate it to, because there's no other explanation. And so, I mean, we don't really know what's going to be after, but we all have our own beliefs and where it goes. And just, I don't know, I like the theory of an alternate dimension because, of course, it's not physically up in the stars because we've been up there. And so, something like an alternate dimension, I think that its soul slips into or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I said, this is what I mean. It depends on your already pre-existing point of view on the whole religion debate, or even not even debate, just a coexistence. I prefer to look at it, not even debate religion, but that's that. I imagine it as another realm now, really, like a bit like how it's perceived in the myths of paganism and such. I imagine it more like that, like probably a lot of green and not green as in I mean greenery, mountains and
that's basically what I
basically
what I envision.
Like Fallout. It looks like Fallout 3. There's green tinge on everything. Yeah.
No, that's basically how I've always that's envisioned the Force Ghost land. I've always thought of it like as like a garden or some kind of.
Because it also seems with Star Wars about the Force and everything is that the Force is one being, and it's one entity or whatever. Just it's a thing that you can't really describe using English words, and when you become
apparently it's being read by the Wills, and my personal theory is that the Wills are us.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd like to think that in Star Wars as well, when it's returning to the Force, it's actually becoming part of the whole of the Force, and then you're like, it sort of goes along with the reincarnation theory as well. It's like you become part of the Force, and then you sort of reincarnated and having some influence.
Yeah, that could be a theory. Yeah.
There's loads we could go through. In fact, this could be a stream on its own. It would be really interesting to get into. It really would.
Yeah, it could be an interesting topic. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, might finish.
Definitely going to be one of my next podcast topics. Actually,
that'd be good. Yeah, talk amongst yourself for a minute. I'll be back. I just need to go for a second.
Any answer from Vasily, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Not yet.
All right. Let me know if I start breaking up because my battery's dying. And sometimes StreamYard really
that's cool.
Messes up when my battery's dying.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and they're the really deep questions that I like with Star Wars. I just like how deep it goes with philosophy, with these religious aspects.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cool to think about where these characters go. Like, where's Obi-Wan and everyone? Which I think it has been touched on a little bit in canon, but we haven't seen any real, like, actual, like, interactions there in that other dimension. Yeah. Yeah, I'll phone my Callum's gonna be back soon. Yeah.
Oh, that happened. I didn't cancel myself. I just had to go for a minute. Interesting.
Yeah.
You got the show all to yourself then.
Yeah, oops. No, Roguecast had to go. I think there was a problem with his battery.
His mic disconnected, apparently.
There was a problem going on there, yeah.
I might finish this soonest then, since we talked about a decent bit and stuff. So, yeah,
Cool.
unless there's anything more you want to talk about.
No, that's cool, man. I think we covered everything. Yeah.
I'll give him a few minutes if he wants to try and reconnect. I think definitely a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Callum beads to cancel himself. Is there anything you guys in the chat want us to talk about or hear my thoughts on or anything while I'm gone? Oh, he might be back. Device is not connected. He's there. Yay, you're back. You're there. I can hear stuff.
There might have been a
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Well, we're back now. What were you talking about before?
Am I coming through okay?
Yeah, you're coming through. All right. That's all good.
Yeah. So we cut my mic off at the worst time after you left. Sorry about that, Gungan. Just how deep Star Wars is. That's what we mentioned. And then it cut out.
Yeah.
Just like how interesting these deeper conversations can be with Star Wars. Not a lot of people read into it this much.
Yeah. Some of the people that really read
personally, I like to sometimes because it can really answer a lot of questions about the real world as well.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we'll go around and answer this question as well. While we go.
Are you guys going to read High Republic?
No.
I'm gonna get into it. If it's good, it's good. But I think.
Yes, the floor is made out of floor. Yeah.
Callum, my battery's dying, so do you mind if I just plug my channel and go?
Yeah, you do your stuff, and then we can just talk about this last bit.
Cool. So yeah, I am going to get. I'm gonna say what happens with High Republic.
We can do that afterwards. Let Roguecast go.
All right. Yeah.
I thought you wanted to talk about it.
We will after he does his stuff because his battery's.
Yeah. Sorry. It's just I wouldn't have to go. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's going to be too difficult because I've got to stay near the charging point now. Basically, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Callum, for inviting me on. And to everyone who's watching, please come over to my podcast and check it out. And anyone who wants to come on, if you got a YouTube channel, a community, anything like that, on and discuss some Star Wars with me and my co-host Boshji. Why was the baby got to play up now? Come on, he's banging up. Come on over and find me at Twitter at Roguecast1. And Gungan, it's been great to meet you, and we should definitely connect and do some content
Yeah,
together.
cool. Sounds good.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
cool.
Thanks for joining.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go. So
All right, see you.
Uru, have a good one.
all right, goodbye.
Yeah.
See
Saying you at least should give it a chance. You never know, it might not be absolutely god awful. Okay, yeah, you can say what you were going to say about that now, Gungan. I was just letting him go.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we should give High Republic a chance. You know, I don't think it's just because, you know, diversity and all that was on the board. I don't think, you know, it's going to be an indefinite, you know, it's not going to be what people are expecting. I think it could have some good stories. So I am going to check it out. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I'm not reading it just because of that. I've still, the only new canon books I've read are Aftermath and the Force Awakens novel.
Yeah.
So, and I'm reading EU, and that's much more enjoyable for me at the moment. So it's still a thing of after I do all of my EU reviews, I might read new canon stuff, but at the moment, that's just not what really interests me. Especially, as I say, after episode 9, I tried watching the Clone Wars season 7 and just like, no, I don't care. So my
Yeah.
passion for the new canon's really just not there.
That's alright. I mean, you know, you all got your opinions and stuff.
Yeah, of course. And it's good if people enjoy it, because that means it wasn't a waste of money for them to produce it.
Yeah, I guess so.
From a business standpoint, I guess you want people to enjoy what you make, and from an author standpoint, so hopefully they achieve that with some people.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's cool.
But yeah, that's pretty much me on that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, but
That's-
it is an era that's not really covered in the EU. So
Yeah,
it'll be-
that's probably why they're covering it now, because it's ripe, basically, for storytelling. They could mine that for years.
I mean, yeah, there's the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, also, yeah, just depends. They need to just find good stories to tell and tell
Yeah.
good stories. That's all it really is. Tell good stories, you'll get people in.
That's what it's all about, I guess. Yeah, it's like, you know, there's been so much story there, which I want to see what happens with it.
For sure. You can see a younger Yoda and all that as well.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like, that's one of the big things people are speculating about, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I probably won't very much unless stuff comes up on Twitter or Facebook or something with people talking about it, and then I'll just be like, oh, okay, that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. EU. May the 4th be with you, and read the EU. Pretty good. So yeah, I'm also gonna start reading the Firefly novels because there's a couple of them, and there's a third one that recently came out, so that's good.
Oh, okay, that's good. Cool, man.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna do a review on the Firefly novels because I really enjoyed Firefly. And
Awesome.
I want to do the stuff on that. I read the comics. I haven't done a review on them because I think for other stuff other than Star Wars, I like reading the comics twice through and then giving some thoughts.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. Oh, yeah. Anything else you're interested in doing, Gungan, as far as other franchises, or just sticking to Star Wars talking about on your channel on that?
Yeah, but Star Wars has been the main interest for ages, really. But I mean, I am into, you know, Marvel and DC
Yeah,
and all
cool.
that. Yeah, and of course Doctor Who. I know you're into that as well.
Yeah, nice. Doctor Who's good.
Although the most recent story I wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah, it's pretty hit and miss with all that. I talked to Christopher Nelson as well, and I have to edit down the 3-hour talk we had just to cut out some parts and all that. But he is a Doctor Who fan as well, and we were saying how there was a couple of good parts in the new series, but then the end was just no, they just did the wrong thing.
Yeah, season 11 and 12.
I've still been meaning to watch the rest of Iron Blooded Orphans. Yeah, definitely anime for me as well. If people want to talk about that, but yeah, that's not what this stream is about. It's about Star Wars, of course. So yeah, cool. So I think
Cool.
that'll be about it. Do you want to plug yourself before we go?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Fighter Gungan and on, of course, YouTube as Gungan Fighter.
Cool. I'm just trying to find the thing. I didn't realize I had to create a folder for panels. Hang on. I just thought of the idea of doing this thing at the end. So yeah, cool.
Okay, cool.
So add that. And there. May the 4th be with you and read the EU.
Awesome. Yeah,
Hope
cool.
you guys all have a great time. This will be the end of this stream. Planning on streaming probably tomorrow night as well. And going through the Borderlands 3 DLC. So that'll be awesome. And my SWTOR weekly streams are going to still be there. So it'll be good. But anyway, yeah. Thank you for joining me, Gungan, and for everyone else that joined me, thank you. And I'll see you in the
no
next
worries,
stream,
you.
the next video, or whatever we're doing together as well. It'll be good. So,
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, whenever we want to collaborate, dude, it's cool. I'd be more than happy to come on.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you play many
cool.
video games on PC? You might be able to do that.
No, not really. Not Steam gamer.
Fair enough. Epic Games gamer, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, I don't do that. I do some Steam games. I do some Steam games, but not all of them are online, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's all right. Because like the old Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2 have multiplayer support and everything. So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that'll be that. Thank you guys for joining, and see you next time.
All right, so-
Uru.